The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Breece Hall has officially been tagged. What other moves are now going to happen with the New York Jets? We'll check in with longtime Jets insider for ESPN, Rich Cimini, and get his thoughts on where things stand with the state of the Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show, live on a Wednesday. Let's hit it and get it started.
Wish you could have been a Jet, Fernando.
We'll see what happens.
What's your message to the Jet fans in New York?
Jets, Jets.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. As always, we are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Reminder, the brackets for the second ever ASMANIAC Madness lock tomorrow at 10 a.m. The link is in the description. Fill out your bracket for the field of 68 if you want in on our bracket pool for your chance to win a bunch of Jet-signed items for first, second, and third place. With that said, we say hello to a good friend of the show. It's weird actually seeing him and visualizing him because normally I just hear him Sundays on my ESPN New York show. It's our guy, Rich Cimini, the longest tenured New York Jets beat reporter of all time. Rich, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jake. And by the way, great. I like how you updated your opening there. You got the Fernando thing in there. You got the Ty Simpson clip from the Combine. Awesome stuff.
I appreciate that. I mean, I also, while I was there, was not expecting to be, covering Aaron Glenn saying he had superpowers and the debate on whether or not he was dozing off. What did you make of the just last week for the New York Jets down in Indy?
Well, the Jets are always making news no matter what. The superpower quote. Now, I wasn't at the Combine we talked about a little earlier. I was a victim of that snowstorm. I got plenty of cancellations and couldn't get out. But yeah, I was watching. I was taken aback a little by the superpower quote. He's confident. Okay, so we'll say that. That's a very interesting quote. I have a feeling we have not seen or heard the end of that quote. And the falling asleep thing. Look, people say he wasn't. That he was looking down at his tablet. I don't know. I think it got blown out of proportion because it's the Jets, because it's social media. And, coaches, they don't even need to watch the 40-yard dash. I mean, that's half the coaches in the league don't even go to the Combine. So I think that was much to do about nothing.
Totally agree with you there. In terms of Glenn's presser last week, you had some great reporting on your end on what happened with the Wink Martindale situation. Based on Glenn's answers, what did you think of that, knowing what you reported on previously?
Well, there's two different, it's like the he said, talking to people in Wink's camp. He said he would have never made that trip to New Jersey for that second interview if it was under the pretext that, he wasn't going to call the plays, whereas Glenn made it very clear that Wink was on board with a scenario where he would not be calling the plays. So it's hard to believe, what situation were there. Something changed in the interim there. I reported that, they had that big powwow down in Palm Beach at Woody Johnson's home, which is not unusual. They do that every year. It's the organizational meetings. And I think it was there that it was decided that Glenn would call the plays. Glenn said it was my decision. I heard from sources around Glenn that it was his decision. People in the Wink camp, say that, Woody Johnson told him to do it. I tend to believe the people in the Glenn camp there, I think Wink's camp probably has a little bit of an axe to grind, that he didn't get that job. So a very curious situation. But in the end, I think it turned out okay because I think Glenn, I don't know about superpower, play caller, but he did a good job in Detroit, especially that last year. So I think they ended up in a good spot.
I thought it was interesting that Dan Campbell last week, when talking at the Combine, he referenced the fact that Jim O'Neill, who interviewed for the Jet DC job, had an opportunity to go for the Jets. So Of course, Brian Duker got the DC job, and Glenn's going to be the play caller. But do you know anything else on that? Was Jim O'Neill the preference? And then when something didn't happen there, they then made the pivot and then hired Brian Duker?
Yeah, you noticed that as well from Campbell. I do think O'Neill was probably the preference there. And why wouldn't he be? I mean, he's more experienced. He's got defensive coordinator experience. He was with Glenn in Detroit, as was Duker. But O'Neill, I think, was probably higher in the pecking order. And he turned that into a raise and a bigger title in Detroit. So good for him. And then Glenn quickly pivoted to Duker. And, Duker's going to be, quote unquote, the defensive coordinator. But we all know, Superman is going to be running the defense.
We have a question for Rich Cimini throughout our show here. Write it in. Super Chats will cut the line. Rich is kind enough to give us some time. And everyone check out Rich's podcast, Flight Deck, which is available wherever you get your Jets podcast. Rich, in terms of the move the Jets made already last week, it won't become official till the new league year. But what was your take on the Jermaine Johnson for Tavondre Sweat deal?
Yeah, I thought it was a good trade for both teams. I was not surprised. I mean, they almost traded Jermaine during the season last year. He was a guy with 1 year left on his deal. They clearly were not going to extend him this year. They probably weren't going to give him a new deal next year unless he just had a total, monster year. So I think solidifies what we all thought. They're going to go to a 3-4 defense. You don't acquire a 360+ pound nose tackle, if you're not going to be playing a 3-4. So they get a starting nose tackle, which I thought was good because this is a weak draft for defensive tackles. It's a weak free agency for defensive tackles. So they get a starting caliber player on a very team-friendly deal for 2 more years. And Saleh gets his wide 9 pass rusher in Jermaine Johnson. He had success under Saleh. It's a good scheme fit for Jermaine. And so I thought it was a good trade. I mean, there is some risk on both sides. With the Jets, I mean, Sweat has had some weight issues. I kind of, conjuring up some memories of Mekhi Becton's situation. This guy has been 390, close to 400 pounds in his career. So when he's in shape, he's a pretty good run stuffer, and he brings you a little bit in the pass rush as well. So I like the trade. It saved the Jets more than $11 million on the cap, which they turn around and they use on Breece Hall to tag him. So I like the trade.
In terms of what it now means for the rest of the defense, it feels like, to your point, they're going 3-4. How does that impact now the top of the draft? Would you say it's more likely than not one of the edge rushers is the pick at 2?
Yeah, I thought they were going to take edge before that trade. Now I think they have to, and they're lucky because the next 2 best players in the draft after Mendoza are Arvell Reese and David Bailey. So I think they'll take one of those guys, slide them right in as an outside linebacker. It's a good scheme fit for those guys. Reese, of course, can do different things. He can play off-ball linebacker as well. So he brings that dimension. And I think Will McDonald will be the other outside linebacker, which is probably a better position for him. He was overpowered in the running game, as a down lineman. Now you've got great depth on your nose, with your one technique is Sweat. Harrison Phillips was the one technique last year. You got a great rotation there. You got Juwan Briggs, who was mostly the 3 technique last year, but can play that. Maybe they can slide him out and play a little 5. What you need now is a couple of defensive ends, some bigger 280, 290 pound defensive ends, who can do a 2 gap in a 3-4. So I think that's what you're looking for in the draft and free agency.
In terms of other trades, right? Of course, the Jermaine Johnson deal happens and immediately people start speculating, well, who else could be moved? Have you heard anything in regards to any players currently on this team that you could see being dealt?
Well, the Jets don't have a lot of tradable commodities. I mean, sure. I mean, they'd love to trade Justin Fields. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to cut him at some point. And once they get their quarterbacks figured out, they'll probably at that point cut Justin. Who else? I mean, Jamie and Sherwood is a guy who,
Saleh won him.
That's interesting. Who's the middle linebacker from Tennessee? I'm not even sure, but Saleh is a guy who that's, the contract's the issue there. He's got some money. I think he's making 8 or 9 or 10 somewhere, this year, guaranteed base salary. But that's another interesting, he fits Saleh's scheme. Saleh discovered him basically, and made him what he was. So if they're willing to take on the money, maybe there's another deal there. Maybe there's a Jamie and Sherwood for Will Levis deal in the offing here coming up. Other than that, I mean, could they make a minor trade, some holdovers from the previous regime? Possibly. But I think Sherwood would be the one guy you would say, he's not a real great scheme fit anymore. He didn't have a great year last year. And I think they could, move on for him if they can find someone to take the money.
You mentioned Breece Hall. Let's get into that because that broke, of course, yesterday. The Jets officially using the non-exclusive franchise tag on Breece. What were your thoughts on that move, and how far away are they from potentially actually getting a long-term deal done before that July 15th deadline now?
A little surprised they went with the franchise because everything I had been hearing would be transition. I think what Darren Muji realized, from being at the combine for a week was that this running back market was going to be a little more robust than maybe he thought. You got guys like Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs who are eligible for extensions. They are going to get, top of the market type deals. Maybe not top. Saquon is there, but pretty close to that. You got Kenneth Walker III, who's going to be a free agent, who's going to get a really good deal. So I think the Jets probably decided, let's just take out any risk and give him the extra $3 million, and we'll go with the franchise tag. So I think I don't think anybody objectively could say that Breece Hall is a top 5 running back. Honestly, I don't even think he's a top 10 running back. But I think Muji, anticipating the market, factored heavily into that. So I give him props for that. And if I'm Breece, I'm not signing anything now. I want to wait until those guys sign their deals. Then my floor is going to go higher. So if I'm Breece Hall, I'm just going to chill out for a while. I don't think probably won't show up for the offseason, the voluntary stuff. And he's not obligated to, if he doesn't sign that tender. So I don't think we'll see Breece Hall for a while. And if I'm him, I might just chill out till July 15th before I think about signing a long-term deal.
So he sent out this tweet yesterday saying, always been the type to bet on myself and working. See y'all soon. Love. That, to me, just reading that feels like, okay, he's going to bet on himself. He maybe doesn't want to sign any deal because he thinks the Jets maybe aren't offering what he's worth. Could you see him ultimately, even if the Jets offer him different variations of a contract, just saying, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself. I'll go out there and have a great year and I'll be a free agent next year?
Yeah, Breece Hall, the king of the cryptic tweet. He's done
always
this quite often all year. Free 20. Remember that one? Hashtag free 20. This is just typical Breece posturing. I mean, you read this tweet, it's basically saying, I'm going to play on the tender. It's saying, I'm going to play on the 1 year and I'm going to bet on myself. There's obviously some posturing that goes into that. I don't think he was a happy camper towards the end of the year. This losing, I don't think sits well with him, nor should it with any player. I mean, his record is, what is he, like 22 and 40 something since he's been with the Jets? It's, a horrific winning percentage. I think he'd love to go out and get a new deal. He's probably frustrated by this tag because he can't go anywhere now. But that's the business, that's the business that the Jets are doing. It's good business for the Jets to tag him. So I'm sure he's pretty frustrated, but that's posturing. I think if the Jets made him the right offer, I think he would suddenly forget all about that other stuff and sign it.
Is a tag and trade in the cards at all, or do you fully expect if they can't get a deal done, the Jets truly want him on the team for this year?
Someone texted me the other day and just said, watch, they'll trade him. It's ordinarily I would say no, they'll keep him, but let's look at the past history of this regime. I mean, they signed Sauce Gardner to a monster deal in July and they trade him in November. So I don't think you could rule anything out. I think something like that you'd want to do before the draft if you were to trade him. Do I think the Jets want to trade him? No, I do not believe the Jets want to trade him. The type of offense they want to run is going to be running through the running game. Let's face it. It's not going to be a quarterback-driven offense because they're not going to have a good quarterback this year. So it's going to be run through Breece Hall. And so I do not believe the Jets want to trade him. I think the only way it would get to that point if Breece Hall just pulls a Jamal Adams, and just, goes crazy and makes a lot of noise and says, I want out. So, but like I said, never say never with the Jets.
I'm glad you brought Jamal Adams up because I was going to reference that. Joe Douglas says at the combine that year, we want him to be a Jet for life. And then by that summer, he's trashing Adam Gase in the newspaper and he's getting traded, days after that.
Yeah, you always have to. Yeah, these GMs carefully. I want him to be a Jet for life. Yeah, it's what you want. That's not what he wants. And so I actually caught up to Jamal about a month ago. We had a nice conversation and did a little reminiscing about that. He just felt, look, he got paid. He got hurt, in Seattle, but he got paid. He got his deal that he was looking for. And so GM, like someone, I think you might have asked him, Muji, the question, right, at the combine about, do you think Breece Hall wants to be here?
Right, because he came out and said right away, like, we're going to use the tag, but there's been all this rumblings, like, is Breece unhappy? So I go, do you get the sense from talking to him he actually wants to stay a Jet? That was my question.
Yeah, he said, I do get the sense that he wants to be here. And I kind of agree with that because they have been negotiating. There have been talks. So if he really wanted out, there would be no talks. I mean, his agent would just say, no, we're not going to do this. But there have been talks. So he's got a good agent. I know Nicole Lynn, and I think she's above board, pretty straightforward. So it sounds like he wants to be here for the right contract.
Rich Cimini's our guest. If you guys have a question, write it in. We'll get to some of those coming up. All right. We've waited long enough. Let's talk about the quarterback situation. I was reading your story over the weekend where you talked about how the Jets are likely looking at potentially 2 names. And then, of course, they could add someone in the draft. As things stand right now, and we know that Kyler Murray is the latest QB that's going to be released and he's going to be available. What do you anticipate the Jets' plan being at the quarterback spot?
That's very interesting. He's going to be released next week, next Wednesday, right? I mean, that's when he'll officially be released. So it's a very interesting quarterback market. I don't know if we've ever seen a quarterback market like this because you have a bunch of guys who are going to be released who are making a ton of guaranteed money from their previous team. So you're going to see him and Tua and Kirk Cousins get contracts for the veteran minimum this year for 1.3, and their old team will be on the hook for the rest of it. So they'll be making decisions based really more on football and not as much money driven. So that adds a different dimension to it. I am not a huge Kyler Murray fan. However, I do think the Jets will have interest because who else is out there? He might be the best of a bad lot. And there's leadership questions with him. There's durability questions. However, he's only 28 years old. He started a lot of games in the NFL. He's had some success more towards the beginning of his career. Really hasn't been the same since he left the Kingsbury offense. Now he's got the foot injury. Is he healthy? That's another question you have to consider. I do think the Jets will have interest in Kyler Murray. I'd be a little surprised if they got him because I think he might want to go to a place like Minnesota where, Kevin O'Connell has a better track record of developing young quarterbacks. So I think that would probably be more appealing. I think Murray's a name to watch. I think Jacoby Brissett is a name to watch. That would be by trade. Frank Reich loves him. Backstory on him, Bill Parcells loves Jacoby Brissett. He considers him like a son. He's known him since high school. It's like they're very, very close. And of course, he's going to give a glowing recommendation to Aaron Glenn on Jacoby Brissett. So he's a name to watch. I think Jarrett Stidham is a name to watch. I mentioned him in my notes column on Sunday. You have the Muji connection, the Robbie Payton connection there as well. He's a name to watch if Sean Payton wants to part with him. I think those would be the top 3. I have my list right. Malik Willis is the big name. I'd be a little surprised if the Jets get involved in that. That's just going to be a lot of money. And they did, it's going to be like the Justin Fields contract. So I'm not sure they want to go down that road again. A really interesting name for me, and I don't know if the Jets will have interest, but Spencer Rattler is a guy who I think you could get for a late round pick who obviously got replaced, in New Orleans, but I think he's got some upside. So I would keep an eye on him. But I think those are probably the main guys. Andy Dalton, of course, because of the Frank Reich connection. But, man, I think he's on his last legs. They're looking to replace him as the backup in Carolina. So what does that tell you? So it's fascinating. Murray's the big name. I think Murray and Tua are probably the two best quarterbacks who will be out there. I don't think Aaron Glenn is the biggest Tua fan. But look, this much I can guarantee you. No matter who they get, and I think it'll be two guys, I don't think Jet fans are going to be happy, and nor should they be, because this is not a great year to be looking for a quarterback. So no matter who they get, it's going to be go to a used car lot. You know, you're buying a used car with a lot of dings and dents and chips in the paint, because that's what's out there right now. You know, that's what I think they'll do, and then I think they'll wait till 27 to make their big splash in the draft.
I'm fascinated if they're truly interested in Kyler, because everything we've heard about Frank Reich is his preference is the taller, bigger, stronger QB, and Kyler Murray is the total opposite of that. Everything we've heard about Aaron Glenn is it's all about the team and accountability, and the leadership matters at that position. And Kyler has some questions there, certainly in his career. It just would feel like an odd fit. And I wonder, is it just sheer desperation if they were to make that move, or do they actually think, Kyler, just because he's so cheap, it would cost them nothing? That's the only reason why they'd bring him in.
You just hit on the two key words, Jake: sheer desperation. I was talking to one of his former teammates about a month ago, and he's like, the Jets do not want to get into the Kyler Murray business just because of the leadership questions. There's been some questions about his work ethic. You're right. Everything you said is right. But who else is out there? I mean, like, what it goes against, it runs counter to what Aaron Glenn is trying to build.
Do you think they'd let him compete for the job, or they'd just hand him the starting job? Because that was my issue a year ago with Fields. It's like you're just handing him the job when Glenn's preaching competition all over the place on the roster. He made Joe Tippmann have to win a job with Josh Myers, for crying out loud. Like, to me, if you just hand Murray the job, make him earn it. Look what Baker Mayfield had to do when he was in Tampa, had to beat out Kyle Trask to get that job.
Well, that's another interesting component to this. The other interesting component is, you don't have to pay him this year, except for the minimum. But like, what's the second year of the contract going to look like? And to me, that is really key, because are the Jets going to really backload like a 2-year deal with money in the second year, when maybe they want to draft a first-round quarterback in 27, where if I'm Kyler Murray, maybe I can get a lot more in the second year from Minnesota or a team like that. So it's a very complex, I have to write a quarterback story coming up in these next couple of days. I think I'm going to have to mention like 15 guys in the story, which I hate doing, but there's just really it's just a weird market, because all these GMs who need quarterbacks are waiting for guys to get cut. They're not going to trade for any of these guys like Tua or Kyler. So you're waiting for guys to get cut. And then you got the whole contract situation, which is different. It's a fascinating quarterback market. I don't even know who would I bet on right now. Like, who would you bet on? Like, ending up with, I guess if I had to bet, like maybe a Jacoby Brissett, I wouldn't be totally blown away if they got Kyler Murray. I think that's a possibility. But it's up in the air, man. It's really up in the air.
What I struggle with, Rich, is I have a tough time just picturing the Jets, making a trade for Spencer Rattler and Davis Mills, and I heard from my Houston context, he's going nowhere. But like, let's say it's not Davis Mills, it's Tanner McKee, who seems to be like a trendy name. Fans have mentioned the Eagles backup quarterback, and like, that's the whole room. And then maybe they draft someone at some point. Like, don't they need someone with some sort of resume? If you're Aaron Glenn, you're on the hot seat. Like, to me, I feel like they end up with either a Brissett, or they get Derek Carr out of retirement, or even Kyler, just because I think they need someone at that position that at least you could try and sell yourself on, maybe if they're protected, could actually be a competent player for you this year.
Yeah, that's why I think they'll get two. So they'll probably bring in a younger type guy, and then maybe more of an older type guy, just to balance it out a little bit. And then quite possibly draft a guy as well. So, the Jets, it's such a fascinating, because really, if you look at it, it's fascinating. The best thing for the Jets this year is probably to lose this year, get as high a pick as possible, and draft one of those guys next year. But the coach can't do that. The coach is going to be gone. He can't sell 3 or 4 wins to his owner for another year. And so, it could be a wipeout clean slate next year, with a new regime. I think they'll keep Muji, but so the coach has to win. So he's got to get a quarterback who can get him 6, 7, 8 wins this year. But for the best long-term health of the organization, it's probably best almost to scrap the year and build for the 27 draft.
You said something interesting there, and I wondered this. You said, hey, they'll probably keep Muji. Do you think Darren Muji has done enough where he's almost separated himself a little bit from the head coach? Because I remember when Muji was hired, press conference with Glenn, Woody Johnson referred to Darren as Glenn's sidekick. And I think if you talk to any Jet fan and just objectively analyze the last year, Muji has done far more better things at his job than certainly the head coach of the Jets has through their first seasons together.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's not the sidekick anymore. I do think Glenn has he still carries the most weight in the organization, but I do think if this were to be another disastrous type year, assuming they drafted well this year, if they have another solid draft, then I think Muji would be more of a long-term guy for the Jets, and a lot of that is just the nature of those jobs. The GM usually has more job security than the coach. The coach is usually the fall guy when something goes bad. And, certainly Aaron Glenn has put himself on the line this year because there's no one else to get rid of. He got rid of his offensive coordinator. He got rid of his defensive coordinator. He's doing the defense. And so there's no one else to kick off the ship. He'll be the next one to go overboard. So, yes, Muji is no longer the sidekick. And I think he's done a sneaky good job with what he's done so far. And, kudos to him on that.
Yeah, you talk to anyone around the league, it's like, I don't know about the coach, but people have really good things to say about Darren Muji. So I just think it's notable that, the owner referred to him as a sidekick a year ago, and here we are a year later. And there's a lot of people who think Muji could be here if Glenn's not.
Yeah, my long-term, if things go, and I don't want to see Aaron Glenn fail. It's like, I'm not wishing him ill will. I mean, it's a better story. I'm a journalist. I don't really care who wins or loses. Our job, we root for the best story. And the best story, I mean, if the Jets turned it around this year under Aaron Glenn, that would be an awesome story. Coming back from what he did last year to make them a good team, that would be an incredible story journalistically. But if things do go south again, I could see them hiring like a Davis Webb next year. Just Muji knows him from Denver. He is going to be the hot coaching assistant next year, an offensive guy, a quarterback guy. The Jets will be drafting a quarterback. Makes a ton of sense. So, but like I said, let's see what happens. Glenn is certainly confident in his ability. I think Jet fans are like, all right, we've heard enough from the coach's mouth. Let's see some results.
Super chats cut the line. We got 2 quarterback themed questions. Bino, we just talked all about some of the options. And then Gator with a super chat. He says, is Mac Jones an option? What would the cost be, assuming San Fran would consider trading him?
Yeah, I don't think San Fran, I think it would be like a second round pick. It's going to be a lot because, Brock Purdy's had some injury issues. I don't think Mac Jones, I don't think they're eager to move him. I think they'd have to be blown away by an offer. And, when you give up a second round pick for a guy, that's more than just a 1-year bridge situation. So I'd be a little surprised. I mean, I think Mac Jones would be good for the Jets. I think he'd fit nicely into what Frank Reich is trying to do. I think he went through the quarterback rehab with Shanahan last year, which we know has worked for some, including Sam Darnold. So I think that would be a good addition, but not for a second round pick. I don't think that jives with what the Jets are trying to do long term.
You know what the biggest issue the Jets might have? It feels like not having a third round this year because of the infamous Hassan Reddick deal. That's potentially hurting them because any of these guys we could talk about, if it takes a third to get it done, you'd love to be able to do it, but you don't have it. And I don't think any Jet fan wants to trade any of the 2 second rounders for Mac Jones.
No. I mean, they could probably come up with a third if he did some, maneuvering. So, I'm sure Muji could come up with something creative to get a third round pick, but it is the infamous Hassan Reddick trade. Gosh, he's a free agent again now. Who knows where he'll end up?
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Appreciate this question here from Dominic, who writes in. Question for Rich. How does he think Glenn is handling all the criticism and mockery thrown his way? Do you think it affects him, or is he pretty Teflon?
That's a really interesting question. he knows what's said about him. No, I don't think he's on Twitter like Salah and checking out what we're tweeting. I don't think he's into it to that extent, but I think he's certainly aware of the perception of him and the perception of the team. And I don't think he was happy with the way the team was portrayed last year. I think he felt that the media could have been a little bit more understanding in terms of what the team was trying to accomplish long term in terms of the rebuilding and being a little bit more patient. So I don't think he agreed with the coverage from that sense. I'm sure his phone blew up with the so-called sleeping at the combine viral moment. I'm sure he didn't appreciate that, but I think he has thicker skin than some other Jet coaches I've covered for sure.
What would he be upset about with the coverage? He came in and puffed his chest out. He took shots at Salah's staff repeatedly all summer during training camp. He said at the combine, we're here to win now and going forward. When you guys have always asked him for specifics on things that have improved, he either talks around it or makes a mockery of the role of head coach when he references 0 kicks being blocked as one of the positives from a 3-win season. They started 0-7. Like, again, I want Aaron Glenn to work out because I'm a Jet fan, Rich. But when I hear that he's upset with the coverage of how his first year went, what did he expect? He then fired 9 of 21 assistants and both coordinators.
You're preaching to the choir, Jake. I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be look, I think, how should we frame? It's hard to be positive when you're 0-7, right? I mean, right. It's like no matter what the expectations weren't high last year, but they weren't 3-14 type of expectations. I think the Vegas number was 5.5, right? I think I picked them to go 7-10 last year, so my expectations were a little higher. I thought there was talent on the team at the beginning of the year. There's no way they should have been 0-7, And so I think he did a poor job. I think Aaron Glenn, and maybe he will admit this now, I think he's got to do a better job with his messaging. You're right. He came out guns blazing. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're not the same old Jets, blah, blah, blah. And you're 0-7, and it looks terrible. It's a bad optic when you're talking that way and you're performing down here. So I think his messaging has to be better. I think he made some rookie mistakes in terms of messaging and the way he was trying to get his team perceived. So, maybe it's a learning experience. Maybe this year it'll be different. I hope so.
Well, then he says, play calling is his superpower. So now, anytime, the defense struggles or if he doesn't perform, that's going to be referenced. I mean, do you get a sense just from the aftermath of even those comments that he realizes like that statement now is gonna follow him throughout the year if they don't turn this defense around?
I don't think that one bothers him. I think because he's got a lot of confidence. I mean, you talk to any player who played with him or coached with him, and it's like you don't last that long in the NFL as a 5'9" cornerback unless you got a chip on your shoulder and you have just an endless supply of confidence. And he did, and he does. So I don't think that superpower quote bothers him. I almost think he gets off on that. I really do. It puts pressure on him for sure, but I think he's so confident in his ability that he doesn't mind that pressure. He did a good job. I mean, the early years in Detroit were terrible. I mean, he almost got fired. Campbell, to his credit, he stuck it out with Glenn, and it worked out in the end. The last 2 years were much better, especially that last year. So I think he did a good job play calling. But you know what, Jake? No matter who the play caller is, you got to have the horses on defense or offense. And right now, the Jets are sorely lacking for playmakers on defense.
In terms of like what the Jets need to do for him to get another season, Rich, it's such a weird spot because as you brought up earlier, you could definitely argue the best thing for them would be to lose and benefit from having all these picks next year in a way better QB class. But the head coach, to your point, can't afford another 3 or 4 win season. So how do the Jets balance like the long-term future, all these picks that Muji potentially has? And then also, of course, well, they need to show a lot more improvement in the short term to even get the opportunity to be here for 2027.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic because you just captured it very, very succinctly and very accurately. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you could have some conflicting agendas. And we've seen this, I've covered the Jets a long time, and I've seen this over and over again. You get to a point where maybe the GM is thinking more long-term, whereas more the head coach is like, hey, dude, I got to win now. You got to get me X, Y, and Z for players. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with these guys, but there is kind of maybe a different agenda. Muji's thinking, I got those 3 number ones next year. And Glenn is like, I need a quarterback this year. So I'm not predicting that things are going to go awry like it did with Rex Ryan and John Idzik or McCagnon and Gase or whatever. I'm not saying they're going to go there. I think they're just going to have to navigate a very tricky situation right now because Glenn has to show progress. I'm not going to say he's got to win 6 or 7 games. Woody Johnson just wants to see progress. And if they can't show progress after what they put on the field last year, then something is terribly wrong, because last year was arguably the worst Jet season ever. And it was probably in the worst 3 Jet teams they ever fielded in their history, which is saying something. And so just be better on defense, show some creativity on offense, be more competitive in games. They did cut down on penalties last year, so we'll give them that. They ran the ball a little bit better. Just don't be embarrassed every week. Be competitive, And so, I think they probably, if they can't win 6 or 7 games, something's wrong.
Do you get the sense that as of now, Glenn and Muji are still aligned and Woody still has faith in his coach?
Yeah, I do. I haven't gotten any indications otherwise, but they're about to walk into a very, very challenging offseason. They got a lot of money to spend. It's probably over $70 million in cap space. And, they got a lot of holes to fill. I think you could argue they need 6 or 7 starters on defense. I wrote something last night and I was trying to count up, and, it's a little hard now because of the switch in scheme, but, easily 6 or 7 starters on defense. They're probably going to have to get 2 or 3 out of the draft and then another 3 or 4 maybe out of free agency. So, it's a very, very challenging offseason that is going to test the dynamics of the coach GM.
Rich Cimini is our guest. Rich, let's talk about the draft and in particular the quarterback conversation. Ty Simpson, if he's there at 16, do you believe the Jets would pull the trigger and draft him?
I'd have to say no right now. But, we've seen this in the past. A previous Jets regime would talk themselves into taking him. They would be so desperate and so fearful of their jobs that they would talk themselves into taking him just to appease the fan base. That would be how the old Jets would do it. So I'm very curious to see how the new Jets would do it. From everybody I've talked to, I don't think he's worth the 16th pick for the Jets. He might be for other teams, but for a team that needs so much and could get a really good starting player at 16, I don't think it's the right fit for the Jets. That's my opinion. This guy's got 15 career starts. And you look at the history, there's nobody with that. I think Cam Newton might be the last time like a really good player with such a limited college background became a star in the NFL. So Ty Simpson would be an outlier. And, he's only 6'1" and change. He did not play great down the stretch. So there's a lot of questions about Ty Simpson. I'd be surprised if the Jets took him at 16. Now he interviews really well. They'll probably bring him in for a 30 visit. I'm sure he's a great kid. He's a coach's son. His dad's a college coach. He's got all those kind of intent. Reminds me of Chad Pennington a lot, to be quite honest. And I don't think, again, that's the coach GM dynamic. Muji, I don't know if he would do that. He would probably say, I just want to wait till next year. Maybe Aaron Glenn is like, man, I'd rather take a shot this year. So I'd be surprised if they drafted him at 16. That's the bottom line.
Jets, Jets.
I mean, he got the Jet chant down. I know after that went viral last week when I asked him for his message to the fan base, he just did that on his own. I know a lot of Jets were like, now all of a sudden they're like, okay, if he's there, we might have to take him.
Yeah, good for you for hustling and getting that soundbite. It's like these guys, and I have to laugh. Maybe this is cynical me, talking, because I've covered so many of these combines. These players are coached so well by their agents that everything is so scripted. Like Ty Simpson, when he said, "I'd love to play for the Jets." Arbel Reese said it would be amazing to play for the Jets. These guys rehearse that stuff. They have people they pay to coach them through these interviews. And so that's why I take it with a grain of salt a little bit with all these interviews.
Totally agree with you. And from a Ty Simpson standpoint, I mean, who wouldn't want to go number 2, or even at 16, you want as many teams interested in you as possible.
Absolutely.
So I'm with you. Rich, there is a chance he could fall if teams just have other needs and the 15 start thing is a real concern. If he's there at 33, at that point, I would just take him, because that wouldn't stop me a year from now from potentially going back into the draft with one of the 3-1s and taking another QB. Is there a mark for you where, all right, if he's there, you'd pull the trigger on a quarterback, assuming you like Ty as the second best in this draft?
Yeah, that's an interesting scenario. Again, that's a high pick. That's a starting player you're going to get at 33 in this draft. That could be your safety, or, your defensive end that you're looking for a 3-4. So that's a really interesting one. I think depends on what they come out of free agency with. That could certainly factor into this decision. Or maybe could they pull a Giants situation? Could they trade up into the bottom of the first round at 25 or 26 to grab a Simpson? I'd be very surprised if he's there. You know how the league is with quarterbacks. Guys just get pushed up and up and up. Unless he doesn't, as long as he doesn't screw up his pro day or screw up his 30 visits, his stock is going to go up. And, by the time we get around the draft, Ty Simpson is going to be getting top 10 buzz. People are going to be wondering if he gets into the top 10 mix. So I'd be really surprised if he got to 33. If you're the Jets at that point, then you might have to do that. That would be a very interesting scenario.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Last chance to get your question answered by Rich. The big fella checks in. He'll join our raffle for 2. And I should mention this for those tuning in. End of this show, we're going to raffle away a Jets jersey. You pick the player you want. Namath, Klecko, Martin, Krebet, Revis, Mangold, or Keyshawn Johnson are your choices. So thank you very much to the big fella for the super chat here. He writes in, Rich, off-topic question. With Darren Lee being arrested for murder, I'd like to know how your interactions went with him when he was on the Jets. Were there any signs?
Well, let me first say that's a tragic situation for his, his girlfriend's family and everything. And so that's just heartbreaking and tragic on so many levels. You never encounter a player and say, well, this guy is going to do something horrific.
What a question this is, by the way, by the big fella. Did you think that this guy could be a murderer?
Yeah, no, you never, that never comes into your mind when you're interviewing someone. You think, this guy's going to be guilty of a capital crime. However, there were rumbling coming out of college. I heard some stuff as far back as high school with him, that there was some questionable character concerns in high school. Certainly when he got to the Jets, he was not a good player. Bright kid. He was always well-spoken, articulate guy. Arrogant. I mean, that was one thing that he just thought he was God's gift to linebacking. And then you started seeing little, thing. He was Adam Gase. This is a trivia question. That was the one Adam Gase made that trade. They traded Darren Lee. Remember that little period where he was the interim GM after McCagnon was fired? The first thing he did was trade Darren Lee, who was not a coachable player. And then, of course, before this tragic incident, there was a series of he was arrested in domestic violence. He had a long rap sheet. It's sad and tragic. And to answer your question, there's never any signs like that. He was just not a good character person to be around. Let me put it that way.
The Jets have been in this playoff draft for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest is just their horrific drafts. I just went and looked back at that 2016 draft that Mike McCagnon oversaw. Darren Lee in the first round, and then Christian Hackenberg, who goes in the second round. And the craziest thing with him, Rich, it's not like he got cut by the Jets and went to other teams. He never threw a pass in the NFL in a regular season game, not a single pass.
Yeah, Jordan Jenkins had a couple of good years. Brandon Shell ended up playing for a while, mostly for other teams. But yeah, that was not a good draft. That was just a bad draft. Let's be honest. I talked to McCagnon recently. I think he regrets the Hackenberg decision. It just didn't work out. I think he just overestimated or underestimated the fallout of he thought he was taking a project quarterback. It's like, we'll groom him. We'll see what he can develop into. I think he misunderstood the New York market. And when you take a quarterback in the second round in the NFL, it means something. It's not like a project or a development. That's a guy you think could be a starter someday. And so that was just, but luckily for Christian, I think he's doing well now. I think he's a kind of a businessman in South Jersey or into the real estate business. So at least he's got his life in order. Tragically, Darren Lee cannot say the same. But I'm at the stage of I like seeing guys do well after football. It's like, I know all these guys. I was like John Abraham. Just the other day, I was texting with him. He's getting a Herschel Walker Award for completing his degree in college. I just liked seeing the guys have success after football because I know how hard it is for some of these guys to move on with their lives.
What was your reaction seeing Adam Gase get back into football now as the pass game coordinator for the Chargers?
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I think he's good. He's good in those roles. I just think he was a bad head coach, but he's a bright guy when it comes to X's and O's. And I'm just fascinated with that quarterback room. You got him, Mike McDaniel, and Jim Harbaugh with all those personalities. Could you imagine the three of those guys like in the same room talking football? I mean, those are three bright guys, but really quirky personalities there. I would give anything to be in that room.
Well, what's interesting is if McDaniel does a great job this year and gets another chance to be a head coach, you'd think Gase would be promoted to be the OC for Justin Herbert all of a sudden.
Yeah. Look, like I said, Adam, he just wanted to coach the quarterback with the Jets. He didn't want to coach the whole team. And I've spent a lot of time with him, like breaking down tape and watching tape. And he's a really good X's and O's guy. And unfortunately, in the NFL, you got to be more than just an X's and O's guy.
Couple quick hitters for you at the edge, staying with former Jet coaches. Do you think Robert Saleh will have a much better second act now in Tennessee?
I do. I think he learned a lot by all the mistakes he made in New York. And I think he's got a quarterback. That's the big thing. That was a place he really wanted to go to. And Cam Ward looks like he's got some promise, a lot of promise. He hired a good offensive coordinator in Dable. That's a good hire. So he's already a couple of steps ahead of where he was with the Jets. And, I think Mike LaFleur is a good coach now, but at the time he was inexperienced. And I think he just feels more comfortable in his own skin, Saleh. And just like anything else in any walk of life, in any industry or business, you're always better with more experience. And so I wish him well, and I do think he will be better. And that's not going to be a quick turnaround there. I mean, that team desperately needs talent. So I do think he'll do better this time.
And then how about Mike LaFleur getting an opportunity in Arizona? The Jets, by the way, play both Tennessee and Arizona in the regular season this year.
Yeah. That one, I like Mike. I think he's a really good coach. I was a little surprised it happened for him this quickly. It's the Sean McVay effect. Owners just want a piece of the McVay coaching tree. They will snap off a branch of that tree, no matter who it is. And I wish Mike the best. Good guy. Thought he got kind of screwed in New York. Woody wanted him out. Saleh wanted to keep him. Woody wanted him out. So he was out. And happy that he rehabilitated his career. He's in a tough situation there. I mean, he's got to find a quarterback. I do think they'll be in on Malik Willis. If that doesn't work out, I don't know who he's going to get, but a really good guy. And I'm really rooting for Mike LaFleur.
And then how about Nathaniel Hackett being his offensive coordinator there? It's just crazy.
That is just, it's amazing, like how long you could last in this league by being bad at your job. It's Hackett is just, it's amazing. It's like the Peter principle. I don't think he's calling. I think LaFleur is going to call plays, right? I think he's already said that. But Hackett's a pleaser. He will do what he can to please the people he works for, and so he can fit into different situations. But I would not give him any authority in terms of calling plays or anything like that.
All right, last one for me, Rich. Just a little prediction time ahead of free agency next week. Who is the Jets' Week 1 starting quarterback, and who is the Jets pick at 2 and 16? If you had to guess right now.
Okay. I think probably Arvell Reese at this point at 2. I think that's the guy that intrigues Aaron Glenn the most. At 16, everyone is thinking wide receiver there. I would not be surprised. And I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but Mesidor, the defensive end from Miami.
Came Mesidor, yep.
Yeah. So they need everyone has Mekhi Lemon going there, or I'm not so sure he'd even be there. I could envision the Jets need, for the old time Jet fans there, they need a Sean Ellis, John Abraham kind of draft. You know what I'm saying? Not in those spots, but they need that edge rusher and that defensive end combo. And that's why I could see Reese Mesidor and then you can get maybe a receiver at 33. So as for the starting quarterback, Jake, that's really tough. Man, I'm looking down my list here. One guy. How about a Geno Smith 2.0? Wouldn't that be something? That would be. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just busting your chops. That's a really interesting one. Yeah, I'm going to say this is a cop out, but I'm going to say Kyler Murray. At this point, I think Jacoby Brissett is a possibility, but just to be different, I'll say Kyler Murray. And was there one other pick, or was that?
That's perfect. Yeah, pick at 2, 16, and the quarterback Week 1.
Yeah, I mean I got to be honest. As a journalist, it's frustrating, this quarterback, because we want to know the answers. Like, it's our job to know. And in this situation, I think there's so many variables that it's really hard to just hone it in on a couple of guys and say this is going to be the guy. Like, we kind of knew Justin Fields a year ago. There were a lot of you thought that was a possibility, but in this case, it's I don't know. What do you think? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I think it's going to end up either being Kyler or Carr for their quarterback. I can't picture them not having someone that they could provide some sort of hope to not only the fan base, but also just like a guy with a resume where, like, you could picture it working if best case scenario they're healthy and they get coached up properly.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Carr. Obviously, you have your health concern. Like, what's the status of that shoulder? It was bad enough to make him retire. Secondly, you will have to trade for him. I don't think that would be a big deal. It'll probably be just a 6th or 7th round pick. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of guys who take off a year. Maybe I'm suffering from that Le'Veon Bell like fall. I mean, guys who miss a year, it's just hard to come back. Yeah, that one would be interesting. Obviously, he's got the connection with Musgrave, so you look at that. But we'll find out. We should have an answer probably in a week, maybe sooner. So we'll find out.
Rich, always great to catch up. Thank you so much for coming on, and please plug the podcast Flight Deck.
Yeah, we got to do a free agency thing this week, and or certainly before Monday. Check out Flight Deck. I try to have some good guests on, and this week, we'll be talking free agency, and so I appreciate the pop. And I miss our Sunday morning chats, Jake. I go, we did 20 of those in a row, or actually more, with playoffs and stuff. So, yeah, so my Sundays are not quite the same without you and Tannenbaum in my life.
I did see Mike at the combine. We had a nice talk. So it's fun seeing him in person, because he's either in Bristol or he's in his home in South Florida or calling a game. So we never actually get to talk face to face. So it was cool to hang out with him for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll probably see him in a couple of weeks at the owners' meetings. So
yep. Rich, continued success. Always appreciate your time, and thanks again for coming on. Hopefully the Jets give you something to write about. I have a funny feeling they will definitely do that.
They will do that. Thanks for sure. Jake, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
Rich Cimini from ESPN is our guest there. Make sure you guys hit the like button, comments, questions, your super chats. We'll cut the line. I want to remind people we did announce that we're doing our draft party for the first time ever at the site of the draft. We're taking over Pittsburgh. We teamed up with McFadden's Pittsburgh. For those of you in the New York area, you've probably been to the McFadden's around the New York City area. This is their Pittsburgh location. It is free to go. It's free to attend the draft. In fact, I got an email from the NFL today that you could actually lock in your draft tickets. So fans can now register for free entry to the NFL draft by downloading the NFL One Pass app or visiting NFL.com/draft access. So if you want to come to the draft, Pittsburgh is the place to do it. You could click the RSVP link in the description and you'll be all set up. We'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get to some of your calls, read more of your super chats. And of course, we will raffle away a Jets jersey of your choosing at the end of the stream. Thanks again to Rich Cimini for joining us. We're back right after this.
As far as the famous Storms go, I would rank Storm Duck as number 3. Jason Allen Storm is number 2.
Do I look like a duck to you? Go fuck yourself.
You have no self-control, or you don't have the intelligence to execute the plan. He's got 4 chins. He doesn't have a shirt that fits him. He's built like a snowman.
You can't win!
Give me my Lambo keys. Get the hell out of my house. I can't win? You got this $1 million mansion in the Philly suburb. Get the hell out of my house.
Why can't you change your thinking? Everybody else does.
I can beat somebody. Look at the car you're driving. Look at the house you're living in. Me, that's me. I did that. My blood, sweat, and tears. Me.
Don't do this.
Like, you don't get to be down for the victory ride if you're not down for the climb. Like, get the hell out. You married a fighter. I will protect you.
Yes, you can.
I got you, okay? You build up my spirits when I don't want to go to the gym, when I don't want to work. Why did you marry a fighter? I was paid to fight. You pay me, I will fight you. That's the deal. You don't think I can win? Get the hell out of my house. Like, what are you here for?
You can't win!
If you're not pissed off as a Jet fan, I don't know what the hell you're watching. I don't know what the hell you're being positive about. I don't want to hear nothing positive. Not today. Year after year, the same bullshit. All you do is talk. Let me tell you something, Tony. Your fried fish is going down, baby, and y'all don't get no win against us. None this season, because y'all some trash. JTFs, just
I got gas right now.
Beastbreaker is eating his first ever salad, folks.
So Gary, eat more salads, man.
Now, they're saying that that's not actually a salad here. A couple comments for you to respond to. Dana says, how the hell is that a salad with no green in it? I don't see any green. Where's the green?
I did watch. You want to go see?
Where's he?
1, 2, 3, and 4.
He just told us his pin.
That is the sexiest thing you're ever going to see. Okay, dickwad.
Dickwad, you are a moron. You're a fat, stupid
listen, take my
idiot.
fist
That's
or this
all you
baseball
are.
bat, grab
You're
it right down
fat,
your goddamn
you're
visible
stupid, you're lazy, you're dumb.
fucking
All
mouth.
those qualities
Hey,
are you.
Shut the fuck up when I speak to you, dickbag.
Beast, you are a moron. I hope Jake and that idiot Gator are paying you very well. I really do.
You make Josh Allen play on a planet place.
Beast, you are an idiot. You're always going to be an idiot.
I could not watch the whole game.
Is it true you didn't watch any of the game?
Running up and down the damn stairs, doing laundry, and also doing the art.
You claim to be a huge Jet fan. You're doing laundry during the game? You know you called it to a football show, right?
We know that.
But you didn't watch the football game. Tell us what happened on the Jets' first drive on 3rd down, the big play that happened there.
Yo, I had blood work done 72 hours ago. You don't
Yeah,
think
but
I know
24 hours ago.
You don't think I got a fucking problem?
First drive for the Jets, offensively, 3rd down. What happened?
I will report this to the FCC and the ASPCA. You can take this picture and shove it. Oh. I ain't fucking it. I gotta. Oh. I fucking. Nobody gives a shit. I fucking got gas right now. Oh.
Over the course of the month, Neil regaled the chat with incredible stories, including women in basements making tomato sauce, old road rage incidents.
Oh, I'm flying. He cuts me off. spits at me. Him and I start wrestling, this guy, and he swings at me and knocks my cigar out of my mouth. My wife, I see a fist come out of the window and boom, he hits the guy like this. While I was picking up my cigar, my wife starts screaming at him, "You get back in your goddamn car, how dare you spit!" This guy ran, and their cigar was still there lit.
A time when he was tasked with skinning a goat. And of course, the good old days when the Jets didn't suck.
When Belichick was coaching the defense, he would go on the field and say, "You moron, stand right here and don't move. When this play comes, you stand here." If they just stood where they were supposed to, the ball hit them in the hands. That's how intricate his defenses were.
He did have a few interesting takes when he was convinced that once players go pro, they get handed a giant bag of drugs and steroids.
When you become a pro player, they give you a big bag of drugs, steroids, and all this other shit. If we don't get an over in this game, you can make me do anything you want and I'll do it.
Neil didn't avoid controversy, however, as he was accused of being the sole reason the Jets did not beat the Bills in Week 2 because he didn't hump a Josh Allen jersey at the tailgate.
I got to hump a Josh Allen jersey.
Oh, this is what I'm going to do to you all season, little bitches.
He promised to do so, but he broke that promise, and Jet fans' hearts everywhere.
Freedom!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. What a moment. Some of the best moments from the show over the last 6 months. ASMANIAC Madness, your turn to vote on which ASMANIAC you think is the best. Get your brackets filled out by tomorrow at 10 a.m. The play-in gets underway. Our first matchup of the tournament. The winner will advance to face Kyle Clifton in the inside-outside region. Tomorrow morning, it's Carlos DeBarber and Cash Money Mike going head-to-head. Tomorrow afternoon, it's Leany in North Carolina against Man with the Jets tattoo. We have not heard from Carl. Carl, if you're out there, I'd call in. Let us know you're alive. And then, of course, Friday, the two play-in matchups feature Fibrows and Jay Graves in the morning and Robert C. and Ralphie Rocks in the afternoon. All right, let's get some calls, shall we? Get into them on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline. Thank you again to Rich Cimini for joining the show. Let me shout out Charles Lichter, who gifted a channel membership, so he is in our jersey raffle for
Good
one.
job.
Plus, let me remind people, the weekly prizes: Curtis Martin signed jersey, Revis signed helmet, Pennington signed helmet, and I added a fourth prize. It is a framed Super Bowl III replica ticket display, so check that out if you haven't done so already. What'd you guys think of the Cimini interview? Give me your comments, questions on the Jets, and I will respond accordingly. Plus, no one's on hold right now, so open phone lines for anyone who wants in on the conversation. We have 481 of you watching live. How about Rich saying he thinks Kyler Murray, if he had to guess, would be the Jet quarterback? I think it's going to be either Murray or Carr. For whatever reasons, Cousins is not an option. The Jets have put it out there that they're not interested. I wonder if Cousins has put it out there that he's not interested. Look, here's the thing with Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray is healthy, you can make a case he has the biggest upside. That's a big if, though. And he's a smaller quarterback, which would go against what we've heard Frank Reich prefers in his guys, but they're desperate. They got to win games. He might be the best of their options, and he would cost you $1.3 million. You play for the minimum. So I do think Kyler's truly in play. And look, the thing with the Jets signing Kyler, by the time some of you get to week one, you're going to be convinced he's going to lead this team to the playoffs because that's what happens. But I do buy the fact the Jets are being linked to him. I think he's an option. I do. Now, do I think he'd pick the Jets over Minnesota if they're interested? No. I don't know if he'd pick the Jets over Miami, honestly. And you could argue that the Jets are better set up for a quarterback. I don't know if Kyler Murray would pick the Jets over really any of the teams, given the Jet reputation right now. But if you ignore the logo for the Jets and just look at the offensive line and the playmakers and the running back situation, you can't tell me the Jets are not a decent spot for any quarterback, especially one who's trying to find a job where he could start. Look, if he goes to Minnesota, he probably wins that job. But Kevin O'Connell is a big quarterback in his own right. Is that what he wants? I don't know. Cashmere Black says Romeo Dobbs would be a perfect number 2 with Garrett Wilson. I like Dobbs a lot. I'm curious what his market would be. I do think the Jets are going to sign a receiver. I think the question is, what level of receiver are they looking to sign? Are they in the Wan'Dale Robinson's camp? Are they going to try and go after Alec Pierce if he's available? We'll see. Shout out to Robbie Sabo, who was watching the show. I have nothing to say except this Cimini is, as the kids say, that dude. Yeah, right. I think sometimes Rich gets a bad rap with Jet fans because he's been on the beat forever. So people are like, oh, he's so negative. Well, if you've been on the Jets beat longer than anyone ever, and you've only known outside of brief modicums of success losing, you don't think that's gonna impact your opinions on things or just writing journalistically your stories? They're not going to skew negative because the content is negative when you are a bad franchise like the Jets have been. So I think Rich is awesome, and I appreciate him coming on. Let's see. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. We had Peter Castro on the line. I was about to go to him, and then boom, he dropped off. So I don't have Peter. Yo Home says Rich is clearly the best beat reporter we got, and it isn't even close. And I think he's really good in the podcast or YouTube setting too. Even on radio too. I really looked forward to the segments we had with him every Sunday morning on our ESPN New York show I did with Mike Tannenbaum. JD says, I can't see the Jets getting a receiver with no quarterback. Well, I don't think they look at it like that, JD. I think they're going to look at it like we'll sign Murray or we'll trade a 6 for Derek Carr, and we'll get Derek Carr, a playmaker, to go with Garrett Wilson. Kashmir says, is Cimini a Jet fan or just covers the team? He's a beat reporter. He is not a fan. See, that's the difference, right? I think fans sometimes confuse this. And I can understand why if you're not like around it or in the business like I am. The people who report on the Jets are not Jet fans. Their job is to be unbiased. Now, you could say certain guys are biased, and that's a fair criticism, right? Guys have agendas. You could say that. But the job is to be unbiased and report the news. When they write a column, that is a opinion piece. So sometimes reporters now are also columnists. They do both. So, and there's examples of this in, non-sports, right? In news as well. Like Sean Hannity is not a journalist. He is an opinionist. But he's on Fox News. So people get confused in like the news setting too. And also the sports setting. When you write a column, you're giving an opinion. When you're on a beat reporting, you're supposed to be unbiased and just report the facts. That's the difference. So Cimini and Brian Costello and Nick Ferrier, they're not Jet fans. They are reporters. Where people, I think, get confused nowadays is you have like Eric Allen who works for the Jets, or Ethan Greenberg who works for the Jets, or Caroline Hendershot who works for the Jets. They're acting as reporters, but they're paid by the Jets. So their content is always going to be positive. There won't be any negative coverage. There's different agendas. They work for the team. So their job is to be team PR. Like the Jets could lose 31-3. They're not going to highlight the 31-3 loss. They'll highlight the great drive that led to the field goal by Nick Folk. It's a different type of job. What I love is I am a Jet fan first and foremost. I happen to have a show on ESPN New York and Sirius XM, and I'm a radio guy. But what I've always loved about talk radio and why I'd never worked for the Jets ever, and why I would never be a journalist, is I want to be a fan. I want to have opinions. You don't get to do that if you're on a beat. And I can't be paid off because I'm honest at the end of the day. My bias is I'm a Jet fan. I want the Jets to do well. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. We got a raffle at the end of the show. Appreciate everyone for their support. How about the great Connie Carberg, who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the first female scout in NFL history, and she's one of our own. Connie with a $20 super chat. She writes, and thanks for all you do, Jake, and loved hearing Rich Cimini. Connie, you are the GOAT. Thank you so much for your support. Hit the Jet chant for Connie, who, by the way, was down at the Hula Bowl with Mark Gastineau and this guy.
It's J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
Connie was telling me that she got to talk with Gruden and see him coach up close at the Hula Bowl. Connie lives down in Florida, so really cool. Shout out to you, Connie. Hope you're doing well. We'll definitely have to get you on during our annual draft megacast this year. The big fella checks in. He's in the raffle now for $5.
The Jet fans getting a little crazy.
Jake, what do you think the odds are for Tyrod or Hooker to make the roster? I don't think Hendon Hooker is going to be on the team. He's a nice kid, friend of the show now. I wish him well. I think the Jets are going to have a clean break in the quarterback room. It's a brand new coaching staff. Maybe Brady Cook hangs around as a camp arm. Maybe. Tyrod is interesting. Could I see Tyrod back? Yes. But if Tyrod is brought back, you know what role Tyrod Taylor has? He has the role that Josh McCown had on the Jets in 2018. You're Sam Darnold's personal quarterback coach. Remember the Jets paid him $10 million. Then they also brought in Teddy Bridgewater. And then they drafted Sam. If you're bringing Tyrod back, you need to have Kyler Murray or Derek Carr or Jacoby Brissett. Tyrod, who's the backup, but is there to basically help whoever the Jets draft either on day one, if they do it at 16 with Simpson, which I'm still against, or they do it in the second round on day 2 or one of their day 3 selections. So I think the odds are higher for Tyrod to be on the team than certainly Hendon Hooker, but I think they're going to have a clean quarterback room all the way around. As far as your second question, with Braylon coming off injury, do I think the Jets draft a running back late? I think every year you're an NFL team and you have day 3 picks, you're always looking to maybe add a running back because they're a dime a dozen. Also, thanks for asking my question. It was a tough one. Respect to you and Rich. I should have set it up a little better than how I did, but Rich handled it like a pro. But it's an interesting question, big fella. I appreciate you as always. We got you down in the raffle. Veteran Jet fan says, I'm done with Tyrod. Yo Home says, no to Tyrod. I get that. Again, if Tyrod cost you $5 million or less, you wouldn't bring him back or at least consider it. I do not want any quarterback the Jets sign to affect their dead cap in 2027. Haven't we done enough of that? Rodgers, Fields now. You know, bring me Kyler Murray for nothing or Derek Carr for a 6th-round pick. You won't make any money. Sign another guy. Sign Marcus Mariota to 1 year, $10 million, and then draft Ty Simpson at pick 33. And let's not have any dead money impacting our salary cap going into 2027. Because if you're placing odds, the long-term bet on the Jets is their starting quarterback week 1 to 2027 in college football right now. Or maybe not week 1 if they draft a guy and he sits at the beginning of the year. But let's be real. The guy who takes the bulk of the snaps for the Jets in the 2027 season, if you're betting on it, what are the odds he's in college right now? 80%? Might be higher than that. 85? Again, Ty Simpson is the unknown because if they take him and he plays well, then that changes the conversation. But that's the only unknown here. Cashmere Black with a super check. Garrett needs a true gunslinger quarterback. Kyler Murray, no. Garrett needs someone who could be competent. All right? We know he's quarterback proof, but get him someone competent. Let's get to your calls, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, a man on vacation is first up today. Hit it.
Oh, shit. Hey, Jake.
Peter.
Everything's working. StreamYard is terrible.
Oh, don't get me started. I know.
It really doesn't matter, Jake, what quarterback we get, because we need three of them in the room next year. I don't think any of the people that are available are going to make a big difference. I mean, I think that, if they got somebody like Kobe Brissett and then maybe draft somebody, I was saying yesterday, Taylor Green, only because he's multi. You could use him in a couple of packages. He runs, he can throw, he's big, he's fast. I mean, for this year, and let him sit in the back to learn a little bit. And then if he's not, at the end of the year, you put him in for a few games. If he's no good, you draft another quarterback. And you just keep drafting them until you get the right one. Because truthfully, we don't have the right coach, and we're not going to have the right quarterback. I don't see how Aaron Glenn all of a sudden is going to be able to, I don't care what players he has, fix his defense, because why did he watch it deteriorate last year and he did nothing?
Yeah, look, I don't have a whole lot of hope for the head coach, but I think the GM could do a good job this offseason to make this job even more attractive a year from now. So that's important too.
Well, yeah, I think Muji's doing a real good job, but I have no faith in Aaron Glenn.
Did you hear what Rich said about Muji, by the way? He defiantly said the idea that, Muji's the sidekick is not true, and Muji is basically separated himself from Glenn, which that's the vibe I've gotten. I've been talking about this on the show for weeks. Anyone I've talked to about Darren Muji, I was down in Mobile. I was at the Super Bowl. I spoke with coaches, agents, spoke with front office people, scouts, like anyone in like associated with the NFL. The positivity around Darren Muji I found to be notable, and it was interesting to hear Rich talk about that in terms of the separation between the two. Because I think Glenn's terrible, and if he's awful and doesn't improve and he's gone, I could see Muji sticking around.
He can't help himself. You hear what he said at the press conference?
Yeah, he can't help himself because I just think he's not fit to be a head coach. He's a defensive assistant. He's not a head coach.
He's not even a good defensive coordinator. You know, let's see
one good year. One good year out of 4 as a DC. We will see what he does this year when they're going to have a lot invested into the defense. There's no excuse. They're going to have free agent dollars allocated. They're going to have the number 2 pick in the draft allocated to it. Like they have a ton of resources that will be used into the defense.
I'd love to get rather than Tyler Murray, I'd love to get Bissett, the other one. I think Bissett would be way better than Tyler Murray. I don't like him at all. He's another head case, Jake. How many head cases do we have to have? We had Justin Fields, who decided he can't throw the ball. All right. Aaron Rodgers, who was yelling at everybody. I mean, come on. Can we get a normal quarterback that can just throw the ball and hit receivers? I mean, you don't have to be that great.
Derek Carr?
You know what? I don't think any of them. No. I definitely don't want Tua.
He plays great at MetLife, though.
What? No.
Great at MetLife.
We don't want Tua. Believe me, we don't want Tua. The first time he throws his first interception, the game's over. He stinks.
I just don't think he'll stay healthy. Even with the Jets being able to protect him, he's going to take hits. Also, hold on a second. Rick Starr, Carr, come on, Jake. Who do you want, Rick? There's no good option out there. If I say Kyler Murray, half the chat's like, no, If I say Derek Carr, no, If I say any name, people flip out. There's no good option. The reality is this team is probably not going to have very good quarterback play this year unless they get lucky with someone having this renaissance year out of nowhere, which has not happened for the Jets since either McCown in 17 or the Fitz year over a decade ago now.
No, the options out there are weak. No matter who you get, people are going to complain because nobody likes anybody. You know, Ty Simpson, who knows? If we get him in, if you get him in the later round, fine. But I mean, any one of those quarterbacks, Nussmeier, Peyton,
Jets, Jets.
I know you want Ty after you heard that Jet chant.
I like him. I do like him. But I don't think if he sits for a year, great. But who's he sitting behind? We got to get somebody like Kobe Brissett, somebody that's a little experienced, older. Yeah, Derek Carr would probably be a good teacher if he could stay on the field for 5 games.
Would you rather Kobe Brissett or Tyler Murray?
Kobe Brissett.
You know it's Jacoby Brissett, right?
Jacoby, right? Jacoby Brissett. Oh, you like doing that to me, huh, Jake?
You do it to yourself. I just love the way you pronounce these people's names. It's great.
What's the difference? Kobe, Jacoby, same thing.
It doesn't matter. There'll be a Jet for a year. They'll be bad like everyone else, and then we'll be drafting someone next year at this time.
I wanted to thank the committee for putting me in as Maniac Madness. Thank you to Boomtown and the rest.
You got a big time first round matchup, Peter. You and Craig from Australia. That's a great battle.
Yeah. Yep. Craig's a good guy. Good luck. Whoever wins, Jake. May the best man win.
I think you're going far.
I hope so. Anyway, it was good talking to you, and let's get our act together. And, all these quarterbacks, none of them are any good. So whoever we get, you just got to keep your fingers crossed.
That's it.
All right, Jake. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Peter Castro.
Oh, shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tournament is upon us. Have you filled out your bracket? The field of 68 of your favorite Asmaniacs. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't filled out your bracket, click the link in the description that says join the Asmaniac Madness bracket pool. That's how you fill out your bracket. Once you click that link, you sign in with your email to Splash Sports. It will take you to this website here. All right. And you'll see you can enter for your chance to win. We have 125 Asmaniacs who have entered the pool so far. My entries. I got my entries here. These are not my official picks. We just did the quick generate picks thing on the show. But you can see, you literally fill out your bracket. Right now, if I was making a pick, all right, I have Peter Castro. I have him beating Craig from Australia, but will I change my pick? Well, back and forth. You'll see for the playing games, Carlos DeBarber or Cash Money Mike is listed as a 16 in the respective region they're in. The bracket deadline is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. So make sure you submit. We have 125 entries so far. There's already trash talk happening on the message board. Anyone but Gary, started by Coach Oglick. Things are happening inside the Asmaniac Madness bracket pool of champions. First place, signed Mangle jersey. Second place, signed Revis jersey. Third place, signed Crabette helmet. Good luck to all the Asmaniacs. But only one could be a true champion. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Let's get to more of your outstanding calls. Johnny Boy's next. Hello, Johnny.
Yo, what up, Jake? How you holding up, bro?
What's up, dude? How are you feeling?
Good, man. Just day by day, man. You know what time it is. Hey, man. I think we're about to head up to the draft, man. So we're probably gonna attend your party, bro.
You gonna be there?
Yeah. We booked a spot over there in Pittsburgh. Talking to shout out to Lou B.
It's gonna be free. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yo. I honestly had no idea. I thought the draft you had to pay for the ticket.
Tickets to the draft are free. I'm going to spread that ad nauseum for the NFL because I want everyone to be able to come to our event at Big Fat Ends all day that Thursday.
Yeah. So, it'll be fun, man. I think it'll be a good time. I've never done it. When's the next time we'll have, 2 ones in the first round, and next year 3 rounds? It's going to be in D.C., the other draft itself. So, that's like super close to me. So I'll probably be at that one as well. But, hey, man, I was calling because of this conversation with the quarterback stuff, which is super important. And you kind of hit it on, right? I think any quarterback that we talk about right now, nobody's going to like it. You could say this client, you could say Cousins, you could say Derek Carr, you could say insert quarterback. And it's because, we've been so bad for so long. And it's kind of wild to me because, I feel like if Carr was there, Carr's an automatic upgrade from what we have right now in the quarterback room. If Murray was to be there. Now, I'm not here saying that I want Murray at all, but bro, if it's a conversation and his contract is super light and he knows coming into this that, you're not going to be the quarterback of the future. We're just trying to figure out the bridge and be competitive next year. It's a combo, but at the same time, his injury, man, he hasn't been fully healthy in the last couple of years, man. So it kind of worries me because he's a mobile quarterback, right? And I figured with Field and what we did with him, it didn't work out. So not saying that they're the same type of quarterbacks, but and then now today, I don't know if you saw, Jake, and you kind of hit it a little bit earlier, Tua's being brought into the conversation.
Yeah, I don't buy that. Again, Tua can't play in the cold. He's a huge injury liability. Again, he'll be discussed because he'll cost nothing. I think Tua on the Jets would be a disaster. It'd be like it's the quarterback version of hiring Adam Gase.
Exactly. So
I'm going to tweet that before someone steals that. Continue.
Yeah, and bro, and what's wild is that, there's a lot of people out there that would want Tua. You've seen that, dude. Him with his injuries to his head is just one shot from never playing again, bro. And what you've seen with the quarterbacks with the Jets, it's something that would happen to us, and it would be known forever in a day that this was the team that he went to that couldn't protect them, and you saw what happened. So, I don't know, man. Draft a quarterback. Go from there. I still think we should draft a quarterback if we get Derek Carr, if we get Murray, if we get Cousins, if we get insert quarterback, whatever it is. Still draft a quarterback regardless of what they want to do. I don't it's kind of like you said it, right? Get the vet, then get the rookie, and then possibly get another one.
I want 2 vets and a rookie. That's my goal.
Yeah. So that's like, why not?
2 vets and Ty Simpson in round 2. I'm not taking him round 1.
Ty Simpson had a really good combine, bro. The dude's mechanics and his footwork look good.
And while he only has 15 career starts, he's unique in the sense that he's played a lot of college football, just not starts, but he didn't transfer. He stayed at Alabama. He backed up Bryce Young. Like, he played for Saban, son of a coach. Like, he's smart. So if anyone could grasp an offense quicker, it'd be him. Again, I'm not betting on that in round 1, but you either have a quarterback or you don't. I would take a swing in the second round if he's there.
Yeah, didn't he play too with those stomach issues and whatnot? And he ended up
that affected his play. Well, first off, Alabama had one of the worst running games in college football this past year. This was not like your typical Alabama team, and he didn't have great receivers either. Like, again, the Ryan Smith kid that was supposed to be amazing, he didn't do anything this year.
100%. And look, whatever quarterback we get, I don't want to throw him in there. Let the dude sit and continue to keep learning the actual NFL speed itself and go from there, right? Let Frank have full reins of this kid and build him up. Let Musgrave build these guy up. So again, we could go anyway, but I'm with you. I think I want it's what I've been saying too, is it's the vet, right? Like, people are just crapping on the Carr situation, and I'm just like, yo, he's better than Fields, he's better than Zappy, he's better than Brady Cook and what we have. Like, the Murray one kind of has me weird, but then I'm like, yo, he's better than what we have right now.
Anyone they sign, for the most part, of the options we've discussed, is better than what they have.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, it is what it is, man. I mean, but they got to figure the quarterback position. It's the most important position that we have in this NFL, and it's, we don't know who our QB is right now. So it sucks. They just got to get it right, and they got to get it right in the draft too, man. So, Jake, keep doing your thing, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Johnny boy, thank you. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Peter Castro, 4 raffle tickets for Peter. Leave Gary alone. He speaks his mind. Oh, yeah. Defense for Gary. Peter, great call earlier. Mike Perez says, sucks I didn't make ASMANIAC Madness. Maybe next year. Love this community nonetheless. Warming up the Murray, Jake. Not going to lie. Mike, you're a great caller, man. Call in more, and you'll be in the tournament next year. Believe me, these decisions by the committee were not easy. We easily could have filled out a whole bracket for the NIT and had another 20-something names if we wanted to. Mike, appreciate the super chat. As far as Murray goes, look, he's not my preference. I think I would lean Carr over him, but I think he's in play. I do. Again, no matter what they do, you're not going to be happy if you're a Jet fan. There's no Aaron Rodgers they could pursue that universally everyone agrees is the right move. Even last year with Fields, I've never been a Fields guy, but I understood the logic. Didn't agree with the contract or handing him a starting spot right away. But it kind of is what it is. More of your calls right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what this man thinks the Jets should do at QB.
What's up, ASMANIACs? How you guys doing? So there's a couple good quarterback options. I think Oliver could be a decent option under the vet minimum, but my concerns of him is I don't know if he loves football or not. We don't want a quarterback that doesn't love football. We had that with Justin Fields. I'm gonna be paid $40 million. And then he was such a crybaby. Fields. We don't want crybabies. We need players that have muscles. We need players that fight, that keep moving forward. They're like the Johnny Lawrence mold, honestly. What's your thoughts on that, Jake?
I think they need to win games.
That's true. But is Peter Castro O'Neill on the line? Because at this draft party in Pittsburgh, we got to get Mike Tomlin out with the 6-9 team.
He's not there.
He's going to be in Pittsburgh. Come on. He won't.
No, he won't be in Pittsburgh.
Where do you think Mike Tomlin will be at?
I think he'll be at his house in East Hampton.
Or he might be in his house in Pittsburgh. You know Mike Tomlin lives in Pittsburgh as well, not just in Long Island.
Max, give us some workout performance now.
Can you guys see me with the workout? This is gonna be see if you can see me with the workout.
We can't see you.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, you look like a ghost.
What's up? What's up? My bad. My bad. Can you guys maniac see me work out? Can you guys maniac see me work out?
Hey, Max, put your phone up against something so we can see you work out.
That's true. See if you guys can see if you can see me now.
We see you using your legs.
I'm doing a leg workout right now.
Oh yeah. Hey, put your phone up against that machine that's like right in front of you.
This is what's gonna happen with James B. Honestly, Asmaniacs, I need to get to my leg workout. Have a good day. Have a good show, guys.
Hey, Beast says try a little harder.
True.
Mad Max, thank you very much for blessing us with whatever the hell that was. What a show, huh? What a time to be alive.
And here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
A year ago, this guy was an honorable mention in Asmaniac Madness. A year later, he's in the den.
Adam is cool, although kind of basic. He claims he's too cool, though often quite basic. He makes great jet points, looks a little basic. Adam is cool, too cool, but basic. Some would say generic.
Hey Jake, how's it going?
I'm good, Adam. How are you feeling? Big time battle for you coming your way in the Dangerous Alliance region against Jetaholic.
I know it's the Jet Fathers of Young Children battle. Was that intentional? I don't know.
Oh, baby.
Jetaholic. So I realized who Jetaholic was. I'm like, Jetaholic's awesome. He just had the kid. He's got like, I think he's the tiniest, youngest Asmaniac in the community is his son. So that's pretty cool.
It's gonna be a hell of a battle, Adam.
Yeah, he can't beat cuteness. So yeah, I got my work cut out for me. 5'12". How cruel the committee. So at any rate, so who could do more push-ups, Max or Beast?
Look, I think Beast is a man.
I don't know. I don't know how many push-ups Beast can do. I would love to see that one day.
You back in Max?
Yeah, Max and Beast in a push-up contest.
It's a strong take.
What does everybody?
Beast, could you do more push-ups than Mad Max?
It depends on weather and also depends on condition. Because right now, back's a little tight today because cold weather likes to. You know, when you get older, that the body parts say "F you," end of report. That's what
depends on weather.
By the way. Yeah, that's what happens when you get older. Hit you one.
40 hits different, man. 40 feels very different. Yeah, Jake doesn't have to worry about that for another decade.
Yeah, well, you know 40, what I'm having right now? Well, you know what I'm having right now? A little bit of double bubble gum. Nothing says double bubble.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Don't chew gum and push up at the same time. That's a bad idea.
That's not, yeah, well, if I had a weight belt on, it'd be a different story. I don't have a weight belt right now. I did have one before, but that's gone now. But that'll give time will tell when time is right. What's today's a good day to make a chicken sandwich. Yeah, I got some good stuff for that. I got some garlic. Yeah, I got garlic butter. I got a nice French loaf. You want to talk good? Oh, it's even better. Just hang on to your hats. There's more to come. More to come. Just expect the unexpected.
Beast, I think you would be the best workout buddy in the Asmaniac community, bar none. Because you're motivating, you're fun. You'd probably want to work out together. You'd be a lot of fun.
Here's a lot of things I've learned from. Are you familiar with the name Too Cold Scorpio? Are you familiar with Too Cold Scorpio?
No, but I am a Scorpio. What about it?
You've never heard of the name Too Cold Scorpio?
I don't.
The guy had more dance moves. The guy had more dance moves than MC Hammer because MC Hammer, sure, he may rock the you can't touch this, but Too Cold Scorpio, He was the master when it came to flying and dancing and grooving. He could do things that'll blow your mind. Hell,
Hey,
he can
Beast,
even do the electric
can you
slide.
groove and dance?
What does this tell you? Electric robot.
I think Beast could out push up Mad Max.
All right. Those arms look pretty gummy in a good way. So good flexibility, Beast. You take care of your back. Jets take time. So Daniel, did you talk about Daniel Jones yet? Because I think that whole transition tag is it's a very interesting move by the Colts to do that.
I don't want Daniel Jones. I don't think it would work in New York.
Yeah, I guess again, good point. I don't know.
He's coming off the Achilles. Like we just saw how long it took Rodgers off that to start playing like himself again towards the end of that year. I don't know. I feel like Daniel Jones, if you're going to sign him, you need to have a way better established offensive coaching staff. I wouldn't do that. I rather just take Kyler for nothing than Daniel Jones and have to give him a huge contract.
Yeah, and I hear you. But I think he has the Frank Reich build, if that matters. But
he does. But he tore his Achilles in what, November? Like again.
But what does next year matter anyway? I think it's an interesting.
Yeah, but then you're dealing with dead cap. You're dealing with money on your you're dealing with money on your future salary beyond this year at quarterback. And I just don't think that's smart.
It isn't smart, but there could be a play where they also need to pay Pierce. So would we consider like the gamesmanship of putting in a bid that could actually be a pretty decent bid to force the Colts to do something about it? And then if they don't, then that takes money away that, we can then compete for Alec Pierce, for example. And maybe other teams might be thinking that have a QB need. I think the transition tag is so dangerous. Like we talked about yesterday, it was smart that we did the franchise tag because we have control. The Colts decide to have less control. And that's pretty interesting. We'll see how this plays out. There's a reason why it's not used as often. And the Colts have been making some very interesting decisions lately. So a lot of pressure on them to get this right, because if they do let Daniel Jones walk, what's their answer at QB?
Yeah, my answer is I don't really care. I just know that I do not want Daniel Jones, to be honest with you.
All right, fair enough. But it is good now that he's technically available.
I think he's going to be back. I think they use the transition tag knowing they'll match any offer. They don't think anyone's going to offer him a real big contract.
We shall see. I hope that we're not the ones that make a stupid deal. But I'm in the camp of throw something out there that might actually work and then call the Colts bluff.
Yeah, good call, Adam. I appreciate you.
Peace.
All right, we got the champ on the line, but before we get to him, let's quickly pause for a brand new sponsor.
Are you tired of grilling outdoors? Are you tired of having to go to the kitchen to cook? Thanks to Beast's Ultimate Taste Tool, my troubles are over. Sure, it's a little smoky, but who cares? Look, I even got a bucket to shit in so I never have to leave my room. Now you're cooking with butt. This is insulting. Very insulting. I find this video rather repulsive, embarrassing, and ridiculous. What does everybody...
All right, we're back. Thanks to our new sponsor there. Let's get to more of your calls.
The only thing worse than the New York Jets is cheap-ass shoes and head coach blues. At least we got Muji and some first-round picks. Jake, my brother, I'm trying to get hype, but this team sucks, and Joe Bonesy needs me to sell new flippers to this fat dumpster fire.
That was funny. Beast just is the best, man. I'm really stressing the Kyler stuff, and I know I don't even know why I'm wasting as much breath, because me and Frank Reich, we think alike with the quarterback position. So he's not going for a non-traditional quarterback who needs to be 100% to function. and play out of the pocket. He wants a guy who can stand in the pocket, step up in the pocket, go through his progressions, make a throw, going – I don't know. I just feel like if we're going to really sit here and say that Derek Carr is injury prone, we have to talk about Kyler the last 4 years. I mean,
they both are injury prone.
But the only reason why Derek Carr is injury prone is because he retired. And yes, that's a significant injury of why he retires. But if the man is saying that he's healthy, that's a better dart throw than half of the guys that we're going to go with. We can bring in the guy like Mariota or Dalton to be the backup. But my two guys, I want either Brissett. I'm praying that Malik Willis goes to the Cardinals and Brissett becomes available because I would love – he's a perfect bridge quarterback who could run your offense. He's a Frank Reich type of guy. They've played before. They have history. If it's not Derek Carr, my Brissett is my next guy. So I'm really, really excited for free agency to see what Malik Willis does. Because if he goes to Arizona, then we can really make that trade. And that's something I feel really good about. But Kyler Murray played 11 games, then 8 games, and then he had the full year. And then he played 5 games last year and got benched for Brissett. He has character issues that the Cardinals had to put in his contract that you need to watch film. He's the head guy in my Black Ops 7 clan. He's got the most hours played. How could last year, I feel like I'm having deja vu of last year when you guys were talking about upside and potential. Stop mentioning upside and potential with the Jets.
Yeah, but he's solid as just a quarterback who plays. If he plays, go look at the last time who played 17 games in the season more recently, Derek Carr or Kyler Murray.
You're right, but Derek Carr's never played less than 15 games in his entire career, except
again, Derek Carr, I don't think is a terrible option. I'm not going to sit here and say he's that much better than Kyler Murray or vice versa. They're both flawed players. They're available for a reason. I don't think it really matters. I don't think they're going to be very good with either one of them.
I just think Derek Carr is a 10 times more clutch quarterback.
Who costs me more? If it's Carr, no thank you. If I can get Murray for the minimum, I'll live with it for a year. And then he's going to get hurt or be benched at some point like Fields was, and they'll go to whichever rookie they hopefully draft. And we'll see them at the end of the year before then drafting a new quarterback with probably a new head coach a year from now. Does it really matter? Are we going to get that worked up over it if it's Carr or Murray? Does anyone actually think this team is going to be good this upcoming year?
I just want to dream a little. I just want to watch offense, and I want to watch a quarterback throw the ball. And I want to watch the traditional. We just went through the Justin Fields experiment and I know
guys are much better than Fields. Both of them.
I agree with you. Kyler is much better, but Kyler needs to be 100% healthy to function. And I don't.
Same with Carr. Is Carr healthy right now? He says he is. What does that mean?
But Carr played through injury. 15 games more.
He retired. He retired from football. He sat a year out. Is he now all of a sudden he's just going to be ready to go?
Yo, in those 10 games that he played with that bum shoulder, he wasn't like doing great. But who are we to judge quarterbacks? He had 15 touchdowns and 5 picks and 2,000 yards through 10 games.
Bonesy, I agree. I agree, but again,
20 touchdowns, Jake. I mean,
how are you judging Kyler as negatively as you are? Is my point. They're both around the same level of player, are they not? You're going to tell me Derek Carr is that much better than Kyler Murray? Really?
Derek Carr's been doing it for a long time. Kyler Murray did it with one guy.
Why is no team interested in Derek Carr, but Kyler Murray apparently has teams that are interested in him?
I think Derek Carr's being much pickier, and I'm hoping that we get lucky enough that not a real organization wants Carr, and he'll go with the Musgrave and familiarity there, and like the potential of Frank Reich and our offensive line. Maybe he'll look at the offensive line as. But if Derek Carr wants to come out of retirement, I will take that dart throw over Kyler Murray, who's the leader of my Call of Duty clan. I cannot do a running quarterback again that, God forbid, his knee is swelling, he can't play a game, and he can't function, and he's playing bad because he's not healthy, but he's still trying to play. Like, I don't feel like dealing. I just want someone who could throw the football, and that's what he's good at. And I think that's what Frank Reich wants. So I just, when people tell me that Derek Carr is injury prone, he played in 15 or more games his entire career. He never missed a season. 15 out of 17 is good. Kyler Murray in the last 4 years was 11 games, 8 games, and 5 games, and had 1 game where he played all the games. The injury-prone thing is more to Kyler than it is to Derek Carr. Derek Carr plays through injury. He's hurt and still toughed it out. And he's the leading guy.
But that doesn't mean he's effective. When he's played hurt, he hasn't been good.
He still throws for 25 touchdowns in that range and almost 4,000 yards or 4,000 yards. I just want to see some offense, man. We have to, this is what the Jets fans do, and it drives me nuts. We act like we have some high quarterback pedestal that we've done it before. We never do it. We don't have quarterbacks that throw for 20 touchdowns or 3,000 yards. Sam Darnold in the last 15 years. Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, and Fitzmagic. We don't get just normal basic quarterback play, and I just want to watch basic quarterback play. Derek Carr is basic, and if we could just catch a little luck, because we never do.
You can say that about Kyler. 2 years ago, look at his numbers. He played 17 games, and look what he did.
But he's hurt much more than Carr is. He misses.
I get it, but at his best, is he not better than Derek Carr? And he's 28 and wasn't out of football for a year. He played. You can argue both sides of it. I'm not getting that worked up over Derek Carr or Kyler Murray. Neither of them are the long-term answer. Neither of them are going to help this team win more than at best probably 7 games, and that's best case scenario. Again, we have the worst head coach in football right now. Like we have to accept that.
Don't you want to see someone throw some touchdowns?
Both guys could throw touchdowns.
But Kyler Murray ain't healthy, though. He's not a healthy guy. If Carr says he's healthy.
Carr retired from football because of a shoulder injury.
He got the year off. He's good.
Everyone's healthy till they're not. And now he suffered a major injury that he retired from football over it.
I just,
Again, you want to argue. I've never seen someone simp for a mediocre quarterback like what you're doing for Carr.
It's that bad right now with us. I just want a little hope. I just want a smidge of hope.
I think Carr is better as far as he'll be all in on football. You're not worried about the studying stuff with Murray. So from that standpoint, I can see the Jets liking Carr more. But from a talent standpoint, most people are going to tell you Kyler Murray's a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Just sheer talent and upside.
I mean, Derek Carr almost threw for 5,000 yards before. I just feel like
it's a long time ago.
Well, let's see what Frank Reich wants to do. If we get Kyler Murray, it's going to be the same thing as last year. The guy doesn't want to play. He's going to be on our team where we are we press the shit out of the quarterback position. He's gonna just literally sink in it's quicksand here with the Jets. Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray comes to New York and starts studying and turns it around, I will eat dog shit on the show. Okay.
Boomtown, save the receipts.
Breaking sports news on the Jake Asman Show.
2 pieces of breaking news. Bonesy will eat dog shit on the show if Kyler Murray is great with the Jets. And 2, we actually have a legitimate NFL blockbuster here. Trent McDuffie to the Rams. The Chiefs are trading their star corner to the Rams. They will give McDuffie a new deal. And in this selection, the Rams are including their own first-round pick, which is pick 29. So we know the Rams have 2 first-round picks. They have Atlanta's pick, which would be 13. Instant reaction from a Jet perspective is I don't think the Rams are going to take Ty Simpson at 13. All right, this is an all-in move. So now with only 1 first-round pick, maybe they try and trade out of 13 and recoup some picks that they just traded. But Ian Rappaport saying Chiefs in deep talks on a trade of star corner Trent McDuffie to the Rams for pick 29 and additional compensation. McDuffie, who should get a new deal with the trade, will be back with Jimmy Lake, Rams assistant coach and ex-Washington coach. McDuffie's a really good player. Chiefs obviously doing a little bit of a reset, a retool here. Let's see what the other comp is. But breaking news, some trades here. The Jets really started the offseason with the Jermaine Johnson trade for Sweat. Here's the full details. Rams get McDuffie. Chiefs get first-round pick 29, a 5th, a 6th, and a 2027 third. F them picks for the Rams again. They will not take Ty Simpson at 13. I don't see it. Interesting trade, though. Comments, questions, super chats. Cut the line. Let me shout out Rick. He's in the raffle for 2. Thank you, Rick. Last chance to get in the raffle. Right now, we only have 1 gifted membership the entire show, which is shocking. I'm going to gift 5 right now. We got almost 500 people watching. The vibes are high. If you want a 5-spot of memberships, here are the requirements. 1, you must subscribe to the channel. 2, you must like the video. We only have 187 likes, so just click the thumbs up button. Once you do those 2 things, make sure you have in your settings that you want to be eligible to receive a channel membership. That's all you need to do. And if you do that, I will bless you with a 5-spot coming up. Rick says, Jake, great job at the combine. I like that lefty from North Dakota. He's a tank too. If he doesn't become a starter, he'd be a good gadget guy to get 6 plays a game. I don't think you'd have a gadget guy have that many plays, Rick. But you're not alone. I've heard from some draft guys that they also like North Dakota State quarterback Cole Payton. Big dude, 6'3", 233. Or actually, no, he's taller than that. He's 6'5", 233. 5th round grade, according to Dom C. He was at the Senior Bowl. He was impressive to watch. I look, if that's their day 3 dart throw, I'm fine with it. Pat Godek has gifted a channel membership. Hell yeah, Pat. Let's go.
Jets, Jets.
All right, I've given people enough time. Let's gift 5 memberships right now. If you get one from me, I'm putting you in the ASMANIAC raffle. That's right. 5 gifted memberships from yours truly coming your way right after these words from Charles Eugene M. Gorman.
Hey everyone, I finally used Thunder Lips' air fryer, as you guys can see. As you can finally see. Son of a... As you guys can finally see. There you go. I finally used it. I'm going to finally taste one and see how I like it. Delicious. A+. Thank you, Thunder Lips. You're the man.
Nothing like the Gorman Chew, am I right? Is there anything like it? Is there? The answer is no. 5 memberships were, in fact, gifted. If you hear your name called, you're a channel member now. Jamal Best, Better YouTube, Villanova, Thomas Faust, 2 Blaine Damage, all receiving a channel membership from yours truly, Pat Godek. Pat, thank you. Another gifted membership from Pat.
Jets.
I'm counting names, so if you want in on the jersey raffle, this is your chance. Your chance to win a Jets jersey, Mitchell and Ness of your choosing. Namath, Klecko, Martin, Krebet, Revis, Mangold, or Keyshawn Johnson. Those are the choices. More calls in the play-in battle tomorrow morning. His ASMANIAC legacy is on the line. Carlos the Barber, Cash Money Mike, the opening matchup in our field of 68. Carlos joins us now. Hello, Los.
How we doing, Jake?
Carlos.
Butterflies in the stomach. Tomorrow's a big day.
I believe in you, Carlos. Just
Tomorrow,
go out there, have some jet takes, tell people why they should vote for you if you call in during it, and you got a shot at greatness.
Yeah, I'm already kind of campaigning a little bit. I'm saying I know it's probably a long shot, but if you're in the Florida area and you want to vote for Carlos the Barber, hey, come get free haircuts. I got you.
Love that. That's a great campaign promise.
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the I was thinking if we draft Reese, and then we get the 1 year ago and the 2 year ago Quincy and Jamie, what is his name? Sherwood. If we can get them playing to what they were playing like, and then adding Reese, I believe that our defense will improve highly. It's something that I was thinking about earlier. I think we'll surprise a lot of people on defense if we can get those guys back up to speed, playing the way they were playing at all-star level. What's your take on that, Jake, as far as the defense?
Well, you talking about Quincy?
Yeah, Quincy Williams. If we can get 2 year ago Quincy Williams.
He's
gone?
He's going to be a free agent. They're not going to bring him back. He's not a fit for the defense they're going to be running.
Gotcha. All right. And then my take on quarterback. I don't even understand what are we talking about with Derek Carr. The guy sucks. How long has it been since he actually played any meaningful football where we can say, wow, let's go get Derek Carr? You know, if I'm not huge on Kyler, but if we was to get Kyler, I mean, at least he's younger. I think he'll be hungry, after being released to prove the people. I don't know if you heard if you've seen his message that he left to the fans, and to the organization. He sounded like somebody that's ready to come out and maybe prove some people wrong. So I think with that on his side, I think that'll be some good upside for him to come and actually maybe do something for a year for us over at the Jets.
Look, I don't think he's great. I don't think Derek Carr is great. It wouldn't cost them anything with Kyler other than the veterans minimum. Carr would be making very little as well. You trade like a 6th-round pick for him, fine. I'm not going to get worked up over arguing Derek Carr, Kyler Murray. I don't know if it really matters.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens. And remember, chat, vote for Carlos the Barber.
Los, Jay Quest said, if you shave someone's back on the air, he will give you his vote.
Man, that's going to be tough to convince somebody, but we've seen some crazy stuff.
I'll tell you what, you get that to happen on the air, you got a chance to take down Clifton in the 116 battle. We've never had a 1 be defeated by a 16 in the illustrious 1-year sample size we've had of this tournament.
I see Mr. Bonesy. Mr. Bonesy said he'll get on there and get on to me if he wasn't at his daughter's. But anyways, yeah, no, listen. I just, I think that my only worry, honestly, is what happens if we do win games. Like, what is the chances of us getting a top quarterback next year? That's my only concern with winning now.
Well, I'll tell you what. They're going to have to try and win enough games, and the defense got to show some major improvements to have any shot at this coach being here. Because the offense is going to be probably at best in the 20s somewhere, just given the quarterback limitations. But if you show like you're well coached, you got a real plan, you're smart, you're actually good at the end of halves, like Glenn said they would be, the penalties remain cut down. Like, you got to just show progress. You got to show real improvement. Well, we know what a good football team is supposed to look like, or a well-coached team that's just lacking talent.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not complaining about winning. I think I'm being misunderstood in the chat today. I'm not complaining about winning, but what I'm saying is that, if everybody wants us to win all these games, but then what do we do, with
you trade up?
Who's going to be the quarterback?
You trade up. There'll be more than one quarterback in the first round next year. It could be 3, 4, 5 guys, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jake, thank you for having me on, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow, Carlos. Let's go.
And here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, a 10 spot from Peter Castro. Hey now.
So Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects as Aaron Glenn looks on for the Jets.
Christ, superpowers sleeping. Aaron, wake up.
Fernando Mendoza 1. Jeremiah Love, who we'll also see on Saturday here on NFL Network.
The last part of the video, Glenn has that look like, shit, they got me. So funny. Peter Castro in the raffle for 10. Aaron Meister, Blitz got beats. Jim Monterena, Matthew, 13400. MV Brando, Roy Kamulidin, T. Serpa, Bradix, and Jet 8NY, the great Peter Castro, who yesterday won a signed Joe Klecko jersey on our show, paying it forward with a 10 spot of gifted memberships for the best community in sports.
Woo, 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 woo.
All right, more of your calls before we wrap. Last chance to get in the raffle. We just heard from Carlos the Barber. Well, why don't we hear from his opponent right now? Ladies and gentlemen, on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is none other than Cash Money Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. So, to my boy Carlos over there who's in Florida, just to let you know, I'm also in Florida. All right. And for someone who doesn't know that Quincy Williams is not on the team anymore, that's pretty sad. And for you going to give out free haircuts, I'll do one better. I'll give out memberships to the Jake Asman show. And I'll give out a 50 spot to anyone who wants to vote for me. If you vote for me, I'm Cash Money Mike, and I give out memberships to the Jake Asman show.
Wow. Cash money. Yeah, money bags over here. Well, good luck. All right. I'm excited to see you guys duke it out.
So make sure you vote for me. I'm a true New Yorker who's a true New York Jet fan who knows what's going on with the New York Jets, unlike my boy Carlos, who I don't know where in Florida you're located, but just let you know, I'm in Florida as well. And I will give out memberships if you vote for me.
So to be clear, you said you'll give out 50 memberships per vote?
No. if I win, I will donate 50 memberships.
Okay. So if you advance tomorrow, you'll give 50 memberships to the community.
That is correct.
Wow. All right. Cash Money Mike, ladies and gentlemen, making it
Let's
known
go.
what his intentions are.
Who's gonna be the best of the bunch? You get to pick the ones that make the show rock.
Couple things there. One, that's incredible if he actually gives 50 memberships if he wins. And two, AP Carlos Reyes. I had no idea this was Carlos the Barber till now. But he wrote in, I'm cooked now. Thanks. And I just put it together that Carlos the Barber is Carlos Reyes because YouTube has the dumbassery at handles and it doesn't let you have your name. So everyone change your at handle to your actual name so we know who you are. That's an expensive victory, though, by Carlos or Cash Money Mike. Big fella says, Carlos may not know Quincy's on the team, but he knows how to pronounce the name of the show. I did notice there was a Jake Asman or whatever he said there, but I mean, look, 50 memberships, 50 memberships. All right, more of your calls. Before we do that, though, a quick word from one of our other one seeds, Charles Gorman.
Hey everyone, I have once again used my air fryer for the second consecutive day. I decided to make myself some chicken apple flavored sausages. I put them on for about 10 to 12 minutes and look at them. And look at this bad boy right here. I'm about to munch on it. I'll let you know what I think. I think it's going to taste good. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
All right. Thank you, Charles. More of your calls right now. Joining us right now on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is a man that we refer to as the Lut Man.
My name is Lumpy, not Lumpy. I'm not De Niro. Just call me Lumpy. I had a mullet the last time the Jets were winners. Don't call me Lumpy, 'cause I'm friggin' Lumpy.
I think Gary's screaming after seeing that. I can hear him, I think, from New York. Jesus. A lot of people are doing a lot of things on the line. They're all giving stuff out. They're making promises. That's why we love Bonesy. Bonesy sitting there. He's going to lick. Even he say he's going to eat dog poop. Jesus, that's crazy. I mean, we all know why he's the champ. He's passionate in what he does. I'm just wondering if it's going to be Poodle or a Bull Mastiff. That would be something you probably have to censor on the show, though, Jake.
Yeah, I'll cross that bridge when Kyler Murray leads the Jets to greatness first.
Kyler Murray. Oh, ouch. Yeah, that's quarterbacks. Listen, no matter who we get, it's going to be an upgrade, and they're still going to suck. So that's just the crazy part. Is this going to drive us crazy? You know, you're talking. I'd like to see Brissett because he's a little bit more even keeled. He's carried teams before to get through to the next quarterback. Can we get him? We don't know. We don't know who it is. Nobody knows who it is. But I can't see Kyler Murray because it doesn't fit the Glenn mold. It doesn't fit, the Frank Wright mold. It would be kind of like putting a round circle in a square peg, trying to make it work. But then we've done that before. But whoever it is, as much as a pain will be there for disdain for the person, or we're still going to root for them because they're going to be the Jets, and that's what we do. And that's what makes us crazy as Jet fans. And I got to say, hopefully in the draft, though, we do get a decent pass rusher, Reese. People saying Styles is probably better. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I do want to see maybe an early Lemon or a receiver go over 16 to be picked 16th. Get that other piece to Garrett Wilson, and that's only going to make him better. But if they do pick Ty at 16, it's showing that Aaron Glenn's worrying about his job. I think if they do that, it's going to show a little bit of sign of who's really running things. But I think they should wait, like you said, a little later if he's there. That's really where I'm going for that. Like I said, let's go Jets. This Asmaniac talk's getting a little crazy. Everybody offering stuff. I'll do the same offer as I did last year. You guys come to my store. Free cannolis on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lup Man. Luppy, you're the man.
Thank you, Jake.
All right, it's almost time for the raffle. But first, a super chat from Joe who says, if Tua is the quarterback next year, I'm taking a break. If Tua is the quarterback next year, get ready to march for Arch because the Jets are ready for the number 1 pick in the draft. Get ready. That's what's happening. If Tua ends up being the quarterback. Good God. I don't buy that. Again, Tua can't play in the cold. He's brittle. That's who they're betting their careers on if you're Glenn and the coaching staff. Sean Horton in the raffle for 1.
Good job.
Thank you very much, Sean. All right, before we get to the raffle, Asmaniac Madness is, of course, starting tomorrow. I don't know the exact number. Boomtown, if you're in the chat right now, you could write it in. But last year, we had 64 people that made the tournament. This year, we have 68. And there's a lot of new members of the tournament, which means there's a lot of people who were in a year ago that are no longer in this year's event. And before we kick things off tomorrow, we wanted to pay homage to the ones we lost over the last year.
Listen, pigmouth, shut up.
Yeah, boss, you don't scare me, Dave.
You what?
Nate, parentheses, Nate.
Get it in the rafters, Quantez. I'm a big fan.
Buttered sausage.
Only on this show, dude.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was still here. Oh, okay. How you doing?
Hey, we were just watching you at work. We wanted to see what it was like. Hello, Chiefs fan.
Yo, last night I was outside talking and I walked over and checked on my neighbor and I found out my neighbor passed away.
We lost a lot of good men and women out there. They stopped calling into a Jets YouTube show. They're not dead. Chiefs fan, maybe. I don't know. I haven't spoken to that man. All right. Almost time for the raffle. I'm finishing the counting of names. Just, again, fill out your brackets. I can only remind people so much. I don't want people being like, oh, I didn't know. No, I've been reminding everyone since Sunday to fill it out, baby. I just posted the link again. So, please, enter the bracket pool if you haven't. Shout out to Jets Worldwide. It's our guy Snowball who says, my ghost wants to be in the raffle. Ghost Snowball in for 2. Good luck, Snowball. Appreciate your support as always. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost that time. But before we hand things over to the Master of Raffle ceremony, we got a brand new sponsor on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, be informed.
Are you tired of grilling outdoors? Are you tired of having to go to the kitchen to cook? Thanks to Beast's ultimate taste tool, my troubles are over. Sure, it's a little smoky, but who cares? Look, I even got a bucket to shit in so I never have to leave my room. Now you're cooking with butt. That's insulting to my intelligence. What does everybody? That's the straw that broke the camel's back. You want raffle? You want a raffle? You want me here so bad, and you know what? You'll have to pay bigger money for me to get that. You bunch of low-life bastards. You're low-life bastards. You disrespect me. You disrespect this show. You disrespect my life. You know what? Fuck you all. Fuck you all. You have no respect for me. You have no respect. In diarrhea, cha-cha-cha. I have a saying here. You can't respect me, then you know what? Who the hell do you think you all are? Nobody. Low life. And I don't pee out my window. I do it in the bathroom. To all you morons, I do it in the bathroom. You What does everybody? This show is a shame. 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 Shame on you. Shame. Shame on you. Whoever made that video, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you. Shame on you. Are you tired of grilling outdoors? Are you tired of having to go to the kitchen to cook? Thanks to Beast's ultimate taste tool, my troubles are over. Sure, it's a little smoky, but who cares? Look, I even got a bucket to shit in so I never have to leave my room. Now you're cooking with butt. I expect an apology.
There's no escape, you tubby bastard. Don't make me destroy you and make 6 rings a regular on the show.
Bullshit! I'll never let 6 rings be a regular.
Or maybe I'll send you back to Hogwarts School for attic-dwelling Jedi doodles.
Hey, if you don't stop playing that Harry Potter shit, I'm gonna leave the show anyway.
Uh-oh. You hear that, B. Skywalker? 6 rings just sent you to the hole again. There we go.
Doodles.
All right, we're back. It is time for the raffle, ladies and gentlemen. All the names have been entered. Let's now get ready to spin the wheel of champions. But first, we say hello to the master of raffle ceremony.
Get rid of that video.
Hello, good sir.
Get rid of it.
Which video?
Now I'm going to do something that no one's never seen me do. Ho! Saw Jim Duggan, WWE Hall of Famer. If you want answers, come on down to the 2026 Wheel of Champions. I'm going to tell you right here and right now, tough guy. Ho! Come and get it, tough guy. If you want some, come get my 2x4. Ho! Now let's spin that Wheel of Champions. Take it away, Pat St. Jacket Banner White. Ho!
It's time to announce the winners of the weekly ASMANIAC raffle. Let's spin the Jake Asman Show Wheel of Champions and find out which ASMANIAC is winning an epic prize.
Here we go. Anyone know what video Beast is referring to? I stepped aside during that last commercial break. But anyway, good job, Beast. Thanks for getting us here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fun show. I just realized, Sean Horton, I just noticed I forgot to add your name. So, Sean, you are in officially, sir. Thank you. All 41 of the entries are in. Make it 42. Mad Max just gifted a membership. Mad Max, you dog. Thank you very much, Mr. Max. Hope your workout went tremendous. Mad Max in for one. All right. We're cutting things off. Ladies and gentlemen, only one Asmaniac can win a Jets jersey of their choosing today. Good luck to everyone. If you win, pick the player you want the jersey in among the Jet legends. Pick the size and let me know your full name and address, and we'll get it ordered for you this week. Good luck to everyone. But the winner is the Ghost of Snowball is the winner. Let's go. Congratulations to Snowball, one of our OG listeners, one of the finest teachers to ever come through the Long Island education system. Snowball, the winner. Congrats to Snowball. You will be getting a jersey. We'll do another giveaway on our second stream later today. Reminder to RSVP for the draft party. But tomorrow, as Maniac Madness gets underway, have you filled out your brackets yet? If you haven't, this is your final warning. You have till tomorrow at 10 a.m. to get your brackets filled out and join the Asmaniac Madness bracket pool, which is free. And you have a chance to win a bunch of signed Jet items if you come in first, second, or third place. On that note, I want to thank Rich Cimini for joining me. Great conversation with Rich. We will be back this afternoon. Joe Blewett is stopping by. We will do some film review on some of the top prospects, plus Tavondre Sweat. What type of player are the Jets getting? We'll do some film with Joe on the newly acquired Jet. On that note, I will talk to you guys soon. JETS, 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 Jets. And before we go, enjoy a little cooking in the attic. Go Jets.
Look at those burgers, big fella.
Are you grilling in your attic?
Yeah, I'm grilling. I got this right now.
Are you sure you should be cooking in the attic?
I did it 20 years ago for a party.
20 years ago.
Yo, Beast, please, man. Are you using propane inside?
It's one of my inside grills. Got some steaks right here. We're gonna.
Don't forget to season your meat.
I'm carrying this with me too.
Let me see your grill, man. What does your grill look like? Is there flames?
It's a Maverick.
Wait, is that flames? You got the window open, right?
All you gotta do is use your head, not your asshole. Ding ding. If you want some spices, come get the bullshit.
You have smoke detectors in the house, in the attic?
Already under control.
Look at that chin.
I might have the Jay Leno chin, but I'm the sexiest thing in the world.
I will check back in with Beast after he burns down his attic. Oh boy, Beast's place is on fire. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's all bullshit. Whoever made that is a goddamn moron.
Beast, is this you with meat sweats?
Are you that stupid? Really? I got enough problems to worry about having to put lidocaine patches on because I'm screaming and yelling. Look at this. Art imitates life.
This is something.
Duh.
Gator has received beast mail saying, "You hungry for burger or steak?"
Take a look at both. Fantastic. Use your head, not your ass.
I'm confused. Is he cooking in his attic?
Global Studio headquarters.
That's like 6 pounds of meat, dude. You can't be eating all that.
I'm going to take the fat off.
Here's the chat summary. Viewers in the chat are saying they are entertained by the streamer cooking a large amount of food, including burgers and steak inside a bedroom. Just another day on a Jet YouTube show.
I got gas right now. Oh.
Hey, I never thought in a million years that when we sent Beast those spices, that he was going to cook in his attic with it. We were sweating. We were thinking there's definitely going to be a fire of some kind. I should have known Beast is a professional global enforcer, and he had everything under control.
Take a look at these. Look at the seasoning. Look at that right there. What does everybody...
Can I say something here, please?